Hello and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us this fine Saturday morning where for the winner's circle where we will be discussing Raw, NXT, and Dynamite for this week.
Yes. As usual, you are here with us on Saturday morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. on the West Coast, 10 a.m. on the East Coast, 9 a.m. in the middle of the country where Sammy is. We're still waiting on Miss Nika. She should be here anytime. Maybe she's here now. That looks like that might be her pop. And there's this pride. The trifecta is here. So, just real quick, if you're here with us on this fine Saturday morning and you're new to the Workhorse Wrestling Network YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell on the YouTube channel. That's the best way to make sure you get notified every time something goes up on the YouTube channel. If you're with us on Twitch this morning or watching us from Twitch this morning, we appreciate it. Give us a follow over there. Unfortunately, we can't see the Twitch comments here on Restream, so if you come over to YouTube, we'd love to interact with you in the live chat. Tell us what you think about this week's Raw, NXT, or Dynamite. Anything else you want to talk about wrestling wise, or anything else you want to talk about. Sammy would love to talk NFL draft with anybody that wants to talk it. So,
Yeah, just let me know who your team is and I'll give you my opinion on who I think they're going to take.
So as usual, we do a Raw, NXT, and Dynamite. And since Raw is on Monday nights, the first night of the week, we usually start with Raw first. And Sammy leads us through our Raw discussion. So, Sammy, if you're ready, without further ado, we can crack up a Monday Night Raw.
Well, Monday Night Raw cracked open with John Cena coming out. John Cena sucks. John Cena sucks. And, oh man, I am eating this up. I love it.
It's so bad, but it's hysterical. I'm so torn on it because it's so really. I mean, it really is bad. It's so over the top. His mean face is just terrible. He looks so uncomfortable, and we'll get into the promo. But yet at the same time, I'm laughing and enjoying it immensely at the same time. It's the most bizarre thing.
Well, here's the thing: is that if they didn't do this, they'd run the risk of Cody getting booed, and WWE does not want to risk that.
Sure. I can definitely.
They're already doing their Cody chants for Roman Reigns instead.
Oh yeah. So on Friday nights, the whole Cody Rose, they changed to Roman. I'm like, oh, y'all some fickle. See, Daniel Bryan was right. Y'all is fickle. Y'all is fickle as hell fat. Give me a different song. Give him a different song. You don't give him the same song you give me. That's just wrong. We are wrestling fans. We have it in us. Do a different song.
Cody Rhodes became old news in just 2 hours during the same show.
Like, Dad, got
it. So John Cena talked about how he had the idea of the spinner title belt and everyone hated it.
Listen. We'll go by this one by one. The spinner belt had its purpose for a time, but for some reason, you went overtime. It was just like, hey, between 2006 and 2009, yes, it makes sense. The spinning rims were in, but then after the rims were gone, y'all still kept the belt. It's like, I need y'all to have the finger on the pulse. No.
So you were fine 2006 to 2009. Your problem is 2010 to 2013. 13 is when they got rid of it.
2008, 2013. I'll give 2008, 2013. Yeah, it should have only been there for 2 years.
It's so true. I mean, tell us when he's speaking in your life. It's hysterical, but because it doesn't matter. I mean, he created the belt. People hated it. If he had done something else, they would have hated that too. So,
when Edge won the belt, make sure they had dropped it.
Like, even with Edge, we're going to do a spinner version of Edge. No, just stop doing the spinner. Like, y'all are not with the times. The spinning realms. There we go. When the spinning realms stop being a thing, this belt should have stopped being a thing.
Yeah.
I love that John Cena's
Well, I
not-
mean, fidget spinners are like all the rage. Like those are super popular.
It was not. It was.
I love how with this kayfabe John Cena Demented Mind, the biggest thing that he's done that has been booed was the spinner belt. Like
Okay. Yeah.
If you,
that's your proudest hope. It's like
Edge said in an interview that like when the company told him that he was going to get his own personalized belt, he was like, "Oh, sweet," and started making up designs and everything. And like then they're like, "No, we're just taking the spinner belt and putting Rated R Superstar in the middle." Utter disappointment.
Yeah.
So John Cena says he's going to win the championship. He's going to retire with it, and he's going to take the belt home with him. And they're going to have to make a new toy for the next champion to have to carry around.
So it's still pointing this out.
All of you. I'm going to ruin wrestling for all of you. And the way I'm going to ruin wrestling, the biggest thing I can come up with is to win the title and take the belt and go home. So you have to create a new one. And the lack of originality is mind-boggling. Like it's the worst possible thing you could have come up with for like the way you're going to ruin wrestling. That does absolutely nothing, honestly.
It feels very John Cena though, so I don't hate it. I'm eating it up. It's like he's trying to be a bad guy, but it's like
again. I think we're still trying to find Cena's real motivation because SP3 pointed out, and I can't disagree. It's like, so you're saying since you've been a baby face, you've been trying to become heel. So the whole spinner thing and the Make-A-Wish, that was all heel tactics to get to learn us as fans so you can manipulate us. No, that's not a good story. That's not a good freaking story.
it's just kind of awkward because like we lived through the era of Edge, and we lived through the era of Legend Killer Randy Orton.
Yeah,
and like John Cena's basically like a mischievous child, not a bad guy.
Now, granted, he did get the crowd when he was like, I say this, you were that. I say this, you start chanting what? Like, what? Oh shoot, he got us. It's like I need us to be smarter. Y'all knew it was coming, so you can't. So you gotta stop. You gotta stop yourself before it actually happens. Come on.
On the cake for me is that heel Cena has the same exact logo, same exact everything. It's just black now. It's just black.
No.
Now he's Dark Cena because his gear is black. His shirt is black. It still says the same old thing on it. Same exact thing.
No, someone was like, you see the hat? That used to under the C with a circle used to be a line through it, which means you can't see me. But now it's just a circle, which means you can. Does anyone really care? Does anyone really care? There might be some diehard Cena fans that actually care, but I don't think anyone really cares to that point. I mean, to that level of, oh, look at the circle.
Here's my legitimate question about this.
Yes.
Do you think that this was decided backstage and they knew and are playing up the idea that this is funny and kind of comical? Or do you think that backstage they're pissed off because everyone's making fun of it and it was supposed to come off as a realistic type heel turn and we're actually supposed to be like, whoa, as opposed to laughing at it?
So this is hilarious to us, but I don't think is if we had to do a poll, I think this is more so for Cena fans. This is like so for us who did not like Cena during those critical times. It's you're trying to serve two purposes. Number one, the people who are Cena fans, you're trying to make them feel bad about this, and number two, the people who weren't Cena fans, you're trying to get them involved. And for me, I do not care. So I would love to do, I would love to test the waters on both camps. Like, if you were a true Cena fan, how do you actually
You
feel
don't
about all of
care.
this? Huh?
You don't care.
Bruh, I don't care. I
So
don't care
you're
about this.
fine if Cena does what he promised. He
Look,
wins that Mania, takes the title, and retires it.
well, so, okay, again, SRS pointed out, you have a new belt. We already have a new belt. It's Gunther's belt. So he already did this. Gunther has the other belt. So it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't.
Well, wait, they're fighting over the mustard belt.
Even though the recreation of the World Heavyweight Championship, even though it should be more elevated, yes, that's the other belt that's supposed to counteract the Universal title.
Right.
I'd be fine with Cena taking that if it means we can bring back the Winged Eagle and like just keep the Winged Eagle.
Well, no, let's keep the main thing. Let's keep the main thing. And
I'm happy with mustard going away. Like ketchup is gone. The blueberry is gone. Like let's get rid of mustard too. Bring back the Winged Eagle.
I love what they're trying to do with mustard, because I do love the world that the old G Heavyweight Championship, that thing was sexy. As terms of belts go, that was a championship belt. So I'm not mad at them trying to bring it back. I just mad that they're not doing a good job at elevating it. We were going in the right direction, and somehow we kind of got off rims. But in this scenario, in this story,
wait, are you talking about the 2013 like Dwayne The Rock Johnson belt?
Sammy, concentrate. Gunther's belt was the recreation of the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, I'm not talking about Gunther's belt.
No, concentrate.
I'm talking about the mustard belt.
What's the mustard belt?
The mustard belt is Cody's belt. It's the
okay.
It used to be red, then it was blue, and now it's yellow.
See, here's the thing. I don't like.
Y'all talk. Let's get rid of it. Bring back Winged Eagle. Like Gunther's belt's cool. Cody's belt is pretty freaking lame.
They're not bringing back Winged Eagle. They did it for Saturday Night Main Event. They did it for Saturday Night Main Event. It's gonna be. It's in, but it's an inch. It's not. They're not bringing it back. Sorry,
I'm torn. Listen, if you're WWE at this point, you know, the idea that your homegrown talent, John Cena, could end up in the record book with more titles than Ric Flair, I think you like that. So I think they want to have him win this title. If him winning this title at WrestleMania means he takes the title and goes home and we never see him again in this capacity, as far as wrestling again, I mean, still come do his little spots here and there, but never again in the ring, I'm okay with it. If he relinquishes the belt on the Raw after WrestleMania and they do something else with it as some sort of whatever, I don't know what they do, and they the new belt that looks beautiful or whatever, I'm fine with all that. If it results in Cena trying to continue some sort of defense of the belt after WrestleMania, then no, I'm not interested in him winning it at WrestleMania at all.
I agree.
And it just needs to lose and go away.
Yes. I concur with that.
I think
it would be so different because like WWE, they always like having that good, happy ending to WrestleMania. Like they always go out of their way for it to have a happy ending. For WrestleMania to be an Empire Strikes Back, like what has happened, the heroes have fallen moment, like I'm all here for it. I'm all here for it.
I think y'all are putting a lot of thought into this that WWE aren't.
You're probably right.
I mean, it's one of the world titles. They should be putting thought into it. I mean, right now, in theory, the John Cena storyline is one of your two biggest storylines. You should be putting thought into it. I mean,
like as of right now, I realize do not think they have no. I think that they do not have a plan to happen after Mania. I real life believe that.
That might be very true. I mean, that wouldn't be out of the realm of WWE. So my friend, who's a diehard wrestling fan, seems to think John Cena won't even be a heel after WrestleMania. That something's going to happen where somehow The Rock is going to cost him the match against Cody Rhodes. In that moment at WrestleMania, John Cena is going to attack The Rock and turn face again and be back to being the baby face.
Dang it. That's a lot. If I had to put money on it, I think he turns back babyface at SummerSlam.
I mean, my friend says he will not retire as a heel, which I find kind of interesting. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. I don't know.
No. I definitely agree with that. He's definitely, but by the end of this year, and remember, it's a whole year. He is not dying the villain. Just a matter of when we're going to do it. Like I said, I think we're doing it at SummerSlam.
No. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. You've seen him become the villain.
That don't mean you don't go back. You can't go back heel. You don't have to die. The thing is, you don't have to die first, or AKA retire. So yeah, before you die, you can't be the villain. So before he dies or retires, he can't be the villain.
I'm just saying, I'm all for the idea of Cena doing this, going into the record books, retiring that belt. Like, it all sounds gravy to me. Like, you can lead to so many more stories going off of that than you'd actually be able to if Cody defends again. Who's next? Probably The Rock. Okay, well, we'll get to it when we get to it, I guess.
So, side note, out of all of this is Cena's retirement tour, right? Mm-hmm. And even though he says all this crap in this interview, in this promo about manipulating the kids, I do believe you care about the kids. I do, like, you don't do that many Make-A-Wish meetups if you don't care. So I don't believe for his retirement he wants to retire as the villain. I truly believe that's not what he wants to do.
I don't necessarily think John Cena is the greatest guy on the planet. I also don't think he's, the Hulk Hogan's of the world or the Ric Flairs of the world. I do think he at least he purports himself a little bit better than that. And I mean, so I don't know. But yeah, no, I mean, I think he genuinely likes doing the Make-A-Wish stuff with kids. I think he genuinely likes being the face and the hero. I do think he likes that. So it would surprise me if this ended with him as a babyface or as a heel. So.
I mean, the only thing negative I've heard about John Cena is he's a bit controlling in a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff with it was Nikki, right? The stuff with Nikki is the only stuff that I've ever heard that was negative about him. So
yeah,
I'm sure there's more than that, but which I say that, and yet at this day and age, like if there's more than that, someone's gonna find it. Like there's enough John Cena haters out there that if there was something I mean, I would think we would have heard or seen it or known it something by now. So who knows? I mean, again, no one's black or white, right? Everything's gray, and everyone has some demons. So it just depends on what it is. Doesn't really matter. You're black or white.
No, I'm a Prince fan. I'm a Prince fan. I was thinking controversy.
Oh, my bad. I was thinking Michael. I'm a Michael Jackson fan, so sorry. I mean, I love them both. Don't get me wrong. In my mind, there's no comparison. They're both on the same level as far as I'm concerned. It's Mike and Prince. I mean, they're one and one A, however you want to sort them out. All right, so Cody comes out.
I prefer MJ, but that's just personal taste. I'm not saying that like MJ's better. I'm just saying I personally prefer MJ.
We're not doing this. We're moving on.
Okay. Right, Cody Rhodes came out.
Nothing beats the door.
Oh.
Nothing.
I'm trying to remember like what Cody said, but he laid down the belt and was like, if you want it, you got to take it or whatever. And then John Cena left.
Something about that makes him the most dangerous Cena, who made his biggest mistake by saying these things while Rhodes was in the building.
Yeah. And then So Cena was acting like he was gonna beat him up, then he leaves, and then Cody was like, "The champ is no longer there. The champ is in the middle of this ring. This is so I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't."
Well, I'm sorry, but I kind of just tuned Cody out.
He's gone full blue-eyed baby face. It's like, sir, that's the most vanilla version. You can't do that. Do something
We had
else.
a decade of missionary. Give us something new.
All right, what was next?
Well, okay, my bad. We had a decade of missionary and then half a decade of doggy. Like,
Go to the other thing.
I wasn't trying to
okay,
get you to double down. I was trying to get you to move on.
sorry, I had to make a big dog reference in there.
The other way. You
All right. What was next?
We had the Usos facing off against A Town Down Under.
Yes.
all right. So let me say this because I said it last week. I wanted Joe Hendry, and there are two camps of this, right? They're like, oh, we as the fans played ourselves. Every time they're in Scotland, that doesn't mean Joe Hendry's coming out. I get that. But on the other hand, WWE, why can't you give me this? You have a partnership with TNA, and yes, I do agree that every time in Scotland, he don't have to be there. But we're on the road to WrestleMania. You advertise this as a surprise tag team partner. It's like everything lined it up for you to get Joe Hendry, and you can't tell us that you didn't think we would expect Joe Hendry. So in my face, I'm like, why not pay the man? If you know this is what the fans want, and stop trying to act dumb because you not. Why not get him? Honestly, why not freaking get him?
I think there's potentially a couple reasons. One is that we know Usos are fan favorites, and I said last week, I said if they don't get Hendry, I want to see the Usos. I want to see Jimmy, which we got. So we got to see the Usos together, which we haven't seen in a long time. And when they're together, we know they're one of the best tag teams on the planet and one of the most over tag teams on the planet. So we get to see them back together, which was really nice. And you got to remember, Jimmy's chasing Gunther, and I mean Jay's chasing Gunther, and now because Jimmy's back, we can have, which we're going to announce, Jimmy and Gunther next week. Jimmy can try to take Gunther out a little for Jay before WrestleMania, and so it worked well. I mean, you're not going to get that same. You're not going to probably get Joe Hendry. I mean, you could get him 2 weeks in a row, but Joe Hendry has nothing to gain by trying to take out Gunther to help Jay get the title. Like there's with Jimmy, you can put Jimmy in a match with Gunther next week, like we already were, like we're going to set up, or like we have, and Jimmy can go in with the idea of trying
Yeah,
to soften Gunther up for his brother to help his brother. That makes more sense to me. Plus, we haven't seen the
So
Usos together in a while.
So I am not mad at how all this played out or how it's going to play out, right? I think more so is about presentation. So if this was your plan, don't say surprise tag team. Just announce, hey, after X amount of years or X amount of time, the Usos are back together to go face A Town Down Under. I think do that way more. Do that than saying surprise guest. And in my brain, you're in Europe, right? So if you're not going to do that, use your words. Yeah. So I like what I said first, where I'm like, don't make it a surprise. Don't make it a surprise tag team partner. Just announce the Usos going against A Town Down Under. Because I feel like you set yourself up if you say, oh, surprise. Oh, this is a surprise tag team partner. And again, you're in England. If we were in America, all of this probably would have played better to the fans. But we're in Europe. We're in Europe now. So it's like, come on, you kind of you have to know your fans better than this. So don't say surprise. So this is the plan, and it's actually a decent plan. Don't say surprise tag team partner. Just announce the Usos versus A Town Down Under.
It's crazy how time flies. Like, it doesn't feel like brother versus brother at Mania was just a year ago.
Right?
I mean, it was already a year ago.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Kind of feels longer than that to me, but
Yeah.
For me, it feels like, man, that was just a few months ago. And it's like, no, that was over 11 months ago.
I know I take up valuable time on this show every week complaining about this, but I can't help myself. I'm going to be critical again. I don't understand what they're doing with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. None of this makes any sense. I mean, they didn't look terrible. This wasn't a squash, but the Usos did get the win, and it feels like they just continue to kind of free fall. And the only thing they can think of to really do with these two is to have them lose matches, which is very disappointing. To be let me rephrase that. I don't give a shit about Grayson Waller. I don't care about Grayson Waller at all. I don't like him. He can take all the losses in the world. He can go away. But Austin Theory is far better than to just be taking losses on the WWE roster. So
They gotta find something
Well,
new. They gotta find out.
I
They gotta
feel
find
you.
out one thing that clicks for them.
So after the match, Gunther came out and attacked.
Yep. So that's the whole thing. He attacked. Jake got the upper hand, and homie slipped trying to do a spear, and so that gave Gunther the upper hand, and it took Jimmy with a chair to chase off Gunther. Yeah.
Oh, and later on in the show, Jimmy slapped Gunther upside the face.
Again, you gotta do the whole thing. So Jimmy and Jay are on the steps talking to each other, and it's like Jimmy was like, "Hey, bro, what's going on? You flop. You call it. You crash landed on a dive you've done thousands of times. You freaking down yourself. It's like sorry, you gotta get together." And so Jay was like, "You think I don't know this? Everyone thinks I can't beat Gunther. You can't beat Gunther," says Jimmy. He's like, "What? This version of Jay can't beat Gunther. I need the one that went against the Tribal Chief. I want main event the one that was right hand man of the Tribal Chief. I need the main event Jay Uso, not this man. Now get it together." And I guess in that part of his brain that we can't hear, I'm a help you get it together. So I'm gonna go around this corner and here's Gunther. "Hey, bruh, I challenge you to a match next week." And of course, Gunther, I see you. I'm glad someone has some balls, but I hope that you know what you're preparing for, basically. And he's like, bow, and that hit. You didn't have to hit him with your whole palm, sir. Like, you didn't have to make him. You didn't have to make his whole face move with the slap. I'm just saying. And again, Gunther is Thanos. He just took it. Again, I'll be scared, but whatever. So yeah, like you said earlier, Jimmy versus Gunther. We'll see how that turns out, because Jimmy is decent as a singles person. It's not his strong set, but Gunther is Gunther. So we'll see how the match goes.
Oh, I would like to give a shout out to the WWE merch department for John Cena's new shirt. Last real champion. Like, I'm digging it.
I liked all this. I'm a little nervous for Jay. I feel like this feels like kind of two kind of botches in a row, and I don't know, like, I'm starting to kind of bite my nails a little bit. I don't want to say that the stage is too big for him, because him and his brother have been on the big stage as tag team champions at, in WrestleMania, all those things. So I mean, I don't think it's that. I don't know exactly what's going on, but he's definitely had a couple moments, and maybe Jay's right or Jimmy's right indirectly. Maybe somehow he's doubting himself. His confidence is off a little bit. I don't know, but he definitely has to get together before they wrestle, the main event of night 1 or night 2 in WrestleMania. So
I will say this. I think this one was more planned. The whole slipping before his spear. I think they're leaning more into the botches. It's like, listen, let's not act like it didn't happen. They did. So let's lean more into it and make a story out of it. Which is fine. Which is fine, but I hope, like, I need y'all to have again, I need y'all to present Jay a little bit stronger before WrestleMania. We have 2 more Raws before Mania.
Yeah.
2.
And
so yeah,
and I
would like Jay to have a match to make sure, like, hey, he actually is decent. So
I think there's 3 Raws.
yeah, the 20th is when WrestleMania is. So we got, let's see,
Yeah.
we got the 30th. So we have the 31st next Monday.
Yeah.
The 7th, the 14th. So 3 more.
Okay.
3 more
So
Raws.
3 more Raws. Have Jay have another match where he isn't botching up the joint, please.
Yeah, and and yeah, the whole presentation of, even if you're leaning into it, that story of him, doubting himself or having a lack of confidence going into WrestleMania is not great. Nor is what feels like a very over emotional Jey Uso the last couple of weeks. Like, he feels like every time he talks, he's almost, and he's kind of felt that way for a long time, but almost on the verge of tears like the last couple of weeks, almost every time he talks, and just so like introspective and doing it just doesn't, I don't like the presentation. Like you said, he needs to be presented bigger and tougher and stronger than that. Not that having introspection and being emotional is weak in any way, shape, or form, but just more. I can't explain it, but he feels like he's
More
not in the right
confident.
mindset going into WrestleMania, and that's how they want to portray it. And I don't like that. I think they need to
Like, he
get
needs
something
more
to change that.
confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the story about a lack of confidence. I don't like that storyline. So, all right, what was next?
Women's Intercontinental Championship, Lyra Valkyria facing off against Raquel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, I'm glad that. Go ahead.
No, I'll say this. I appreciate these matches in Europe, because at least the crowd is into it more than like there are over here. So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
she's Irish, and they were in Scotland. Shout out Pat McAfee for rocking the kilt.
that was a nice little thing there. I I think Dakota Kai overall is a better wrestler and better worker than Raquel Rodriguez. And if you're going to have Lyra beat Dakota, then it makes sense for her to beat Raquel. I mean, to be fair, Raquel's bigger and stronger. Than her beating Raquel is a little bit more of potentially an uphill battle because of the size and strength difference. But I don't know that beating Dakota Kai and or Raquel Rodriguez does a whole lot for Lyra Valkyria's, women's intercontinental championship run, but they're trying at least. I mean, it's something. So,
like, it's one of those things where I'm trying to think, because it usually is 3 camps of wrestling. Either you're good in the mic, well, four. Either you're good in the mic, but you're not good in the you're not good in the ring. You're good in the ring, but not good in the mic. You're good at both. You're good at neither. I mean, you're not good at either, which is very, like, if you're not good at either, why you're in here? So I was like, yeah, I'm still in 3 camps. With Lyra, we can say that she's good in the ring, but how good is she? Like, and I feel like I'm trying to compare her. We compared her to Ricochet. Ricochet before I got to AEW, his strength was in the ring. He's a wrestler. He'll give you a story in the ring. Now, I'm not saying she'll be as good as Pretty Ricky, but it is like, I need you to be a little bit close to that if your character is mid.
Lyra is like NXT good.
I don't know why. I still don't know why they called her up. It still seems weird to me. Kurt and Kalani Jordan. Now, at least Lyra Valkyria is getting something, but Kalani Jordan has done nothing basically since being called up. And those were 2 women that I thought shouldn't have been called up and should be.
Wait, who's cool? You mean someone else? Because Kalani Jordan's still in NXT, right?
No, didn't she get called up too? Was it? Yeah, was it?
Kalani Jordan, the one with the black girl with the fro, right?
I think you're confusing names.
Oh no, the porn accountant. The porn accountant. You mean the porn accountant?
What? The porn
You-
accountant?
the girl who had the short skirt and she was a businesswoman, but she wrestled. What's her name?
Yeah.
No. Is that her? No.
I call her. Basically, she's a porn accountant. That was her character in NXT, where she basically was a.
They brought
What's her
up
name?
Laura. They brought up Lyra at the draft, right? Is that not right? Or it wasn't at the draft. They brought her up.
Yeah, they brought up her. They brought up
Kalani James.
Alba Fire.
Kalani James.
Kiana James.
That's the name. I'm sorry, not Kalani Jordan. Kiana James.
That's the porn accountant. Yeah. Okay.
I don't remember her being a porn accountant, but I don't remember that being her outfit, but
she wasn't officially an porn accountant, but she had a short
skirt. I don't remember her wearing that outfit, though. I don't even remember that outfit.
She had oh, come on! She always wearing a short skirt.
I really don't remember what she looks like because she's been called up to the main roster and hasn't done anything.
But what is your business? You know, they never said what her business was, but she just had a business with a short skirt on and a vest with a bra. It was.
I remember she was on there and like she used a word and I was like, that word doesn't mean what you think it means. And then I don't remember ever seeing her again after that.
Yeah, I mean, they both came up at the same time, and at least Lyra's getting some work, but neither of them, I mean, both of them should have stayed on NXT. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, neither of them were ready for the roster. And I guess I don't understand either if you're Sean or Triple H or whoever it is that's looking at the NXT roster and says, okay, let's look at the roster of women. Who do we want to pick up or who do we want to move up? And we pick those two women. Like, it seems odd to me, but okay.
Now, unfortunately, we all know what Lyra is, but we just don't want to admit it. She was a hire for Becky. Where they're trying to lock down Becky. We're gonna hire one of your students, basically. That's why Lyra got called up, basically.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know she was a Becky student or any of that. So
yes, that's why. Like, look, Becky, we're using your people. So shouldn't you stay and use more of your people? Look, Lyra. Look.
I mean, I didn't know that Becky's first love was Finn Balor. There's a lot of things we don't know.
What was that?
So the match ended with Bayley coming out for the save.
Now, this feels like, use your whole words. Even though I can't stand the chick, I do believe that Liv Morgan, she had a great time in WWE this year. And I still believe that WrestleMania should be a representation of your best stories of this year. So she should be on the card. So if y'all want to do Lyra and Bayley versus Liv and Raquel,
yeah, it feels thrown together. Like, if you're not gonna like follow up on a story that's been building, the thing to do is to bring in either something of real life or something from back in the day. So, like, if you wanted to do a back in the day, I'd be completely down for Bayley versus Alexa Bliss. Run that back.
So it's like, again, so it's like, but yeah, it's like her Nia Jax, her Nia Jax. It feels like y'all don't have a plan for them, and that really is unfortunate because 2024, early 2025, that was them all day. I don't like Liv, but I definitely love Nia, and it really is like, hey, y'all should find something for them to do on the card. It's something significant, not no throw together battle royal. They should be on the card for Mania. So please make that happen.
So up next, we had Adam Pearce with the ladies.
Side note: I just put Kiana James's name, Kiana's picture in the group chat. So yeah, a porn accountant. So
I'll look at it afterwards.
All right.
Which WWE did the thing that Anika hates here.
What?
Where you have your women's match and then you have your women's segment immediately following your women's match.
I never said I hate. Well, what if I hated that? What the freak?
Like 2 weeks ago.
About what? What are you talking about, sir?
Well, you said it about Dynamite.
Yes,
but
because Dynamite is a 2-hour show, and you cram everything into them 20. Here's the women's segment, so don't do that. Don't do that. All right.
Raw's a 3-hour show, and they did it here.
No. The first time. Gosh. All right. Fine. What happened? All right.
The gist of it is next week we're going to get Rhea Ripley taking on, I think it's Bianca? Or is Rhea Ripley taking on Io?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, full thing. No, wait. Now I'm confused. No.
It's Rhea versus Io next week.
I'm getting.
Comes the ring. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting last week confused with this week. Cause I'm like, well, this is in ring or backstage? This is in ring, right?
They were both in ring. That's why they're confusing, and they happen roughly the same way. But Adam Pearce came out this week and said, "This is the contract. Even though Rhea signed it, she's not in the match. Everyone's music basically hit. They're all in the ring again. They push Io down like she doesn't mean anything, like they did last week. It's basically the same exact thing. What becomes of it ultimately is that in the meantime, we're going to get Rhea versus Io for the title, and whoever has the title has to face Bianca at WrestleMania for the title.
And Bianca will be the special guest referee, so expect shenanigans.
Crazy enough, I did enjoy Adam Pearce in this moment more than anybody, which is really insane to say. But he's like, let's get this. I said to the children, let's get this straight. Number one, even though you signed your name, you are not in the main event of WrestleMania. Number two, I've been trying to give you a rematch with Io, but you have been so stubborn that Joe behind don't want to listen to me. So what's going to happen is we're going to do the rematch next week. Whoever beats that is facing Bianca, and then Bianca was like, I kind of agree with Bianca, where it's like, look, no. Io won. I want to face I feel like, yeah. Well, if this was real life, it's like, look, we had a contract. I'm probably facing Io. Why are we mixing it up? But of course, it's kayfabe, so security can happen too. And then they did the whole look. We're not announcing the 3-way, but if it was, here's all the moves. And it's like these are very nice moves, but these are all set. These all felt set uppy. Where it's like, stop, I'm gonna toss you. Stop, I'm a hurricane rider you. It's like you got, if we're gonna do this, you gotta be more smoother than this, ladies. This feels really, really like y'all rehearsed this backstage, and you don't want. Even though we all know this is predetermined, we want to feel like this could actually happen in real life, as close as possible, to real life as you can get. So it was like you said, it was a fine segment. Crazy enough, Adam Pearce was the star of this segment, which I don't know how to feel about that.
I feel like they want to do Bianca and Rhea, but Io has the belt, and this is a way to put the belt on Rhea before WrestleMania with Bianca. I don't know why. I have a feeling that Rhea's gonna win, and then I don't even know why you even put the belt on Io. I mean, I know you have to get it, I guess eventually to Rhea, but I don't know. It seems weird to me.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think more so they were trying to do Bianca and Rhea, but the heat on that feud has cooled down. So let's add Io to heat it up. Now, who wins?
And now it's heated up, so let's go ahead and push Io to the side, because now we have the actual match that we want.
Nah. I think no. It's still gonna be a three-way. If you push Eel to the side now, it's gonna go back to being cold. It's only hot because it's three of y'all. If you remove EO, it's not hot. I don't think they're that dumb.
Interesting.
Now,
Let's see what happens.
who wins at WrestleMania is still up in the air for me. I don't know who wins. I don't think you put the belt back on Rhea.
Yeah, it'll be interesting
Um,
what happens. I'm curious.
I'm up for whatever results in Bianca turning heel and we get the return of Whip and Nene.
I do like that. Side note, I've been trying not to say this, but I gotta say it. This tour has been really European to me. I'm gonna just say that and take a word that you will. Like at the end, Bianca stood tall with the belt and they kind of booed her. I'm like, oh, okay, European crowd. Y'all being real European right now. I'm just saying. That's just me. That is just me. Take it how you take it. But I'm like, all right, let's go back to America. I don't like how I feel right now about this crowd. I'm gonna say it. You go next.
Next up on the bracket, is that what you guys are saying?
Yeah, what was next on Raw?
Yeah.
What's next on Raw?
Up next on Raw was the best moment of the week. We had Dragon Lee facing off against the debuting Lucha Megastar El Grande Americano.
So again, full context. Before the match starts, they do this whole AI presentation of where El Grande came from, the Gulf of America. He's a legend. They put him on ice. They defrosted him, and now he's back to being the legend we all love. And then, of course, Chad Gable, who's supposed to be against Dragon Lee, cough, cough, I have a cold. But hey,
Oh yeah, it's so unfortunate he was sick this week, but fortunately we had El Grande Americano here to.
face Grande Americano, please. Let's talk about the match first. The match first. This was beautiful. This was if we ever did match of the night for Raw, this was match of the night. This was you really can't go wrong with Chad Gable. But just in case you forgot, he's great in the ring, and so is Dragon Lee.
What I would give in order to have El Grande Americano taking on El Generico at WrestleMania. Oh man.
They're not gonna do it, even though y'all hear us. Again, y'all hear social media. So y'all heard us say El Generico for thousands of times, and there's a Canadian who's not on the card right now because he's injured from an unsanctioned match, and justifiably so. Sorry, put those down. And justifiably so, he shouldn't be anywhere performing, but El Generico is in Mexico creating orphans. So I don't understand why y'all don't give us what we want.
Whoa. He is not creating orphans.
No,
He is not creating orphans right now.
Building orphanages
Okay.
in Mexico. So please, orphans.
That was dark.
Babies at the time of like 50 doesn't claim any of them at all. Just, what are you doing? I'm out here creating orphans.
I'm saying that now when I see baby daddies only creating orphans now. Okay, no, but yes, they're creating orphanages in Mexico. So it's like y'all have that. I think that's what's frustrating about WWE. You have all the tools to make storylines from here to here, but you don't want to use them. Why? Because they came from another. Okay. Yes, they came from another company. But again, but they're here now. So use those storylines to your advantage, please.
I love this match. I thought the match was really, really good. Both guys can wrestle extremely, well. They're extremely talented, and this is the kind of stuff that Gable's really good at, as is Dragon Lee. So I mean, I enjoyed it, and the whole El Grande Americano thing is funny. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
do America like that, in this time and age where we're so kind of divided in some regards as a country. It feels a little like them pushing their kind of political agenda, especially with the Gulf of America thing, which is definitely a Trump thing. So in that regard, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of that. The stuff is fun nonetheless with him. The AI stuff was fun, and Chad's great. So I mean, he's making it
Well,
work as best
Grande,
I
El Grande. Oh, I will say this.
I,
Go, Sammy. Go, Sammy.
I was just gonna say the people who own the company are, tight
Yeah,
with Trump. So like,
No,
no doubt.
no. All right. So I'll say this. I don't think they're trying to do that. With this storyline, I think they really are just trying to do El Grande or whoever he's supposed to be against luchadors. Now I understand why this is a very tight, a very thin tightrope to walk. Whereas, like, on one hand, this could be a very, very great storyline. On the other hand, you don't want to offend people. So it's like,
I mean,
I want
wrestling's
to,
always done this. This is not
huh?
new for wrestling. Wrestling has always taken advantage of the political climate and had situations where they've had people that the anti-American or whatever, whoever you're good, I mean, they've had that forever, right? I mean, or whatever's going on. I mean, they always lean into political stuff anyhow. So
but this
But
is
yeah,
also a thing that's been done so many times, and like it feels problematic now, but it's like this is a tried and true wrestling formula.
and
Like,
and to say that, I don't think they're trying to do it like they did it. I don't think they're trying to do it like they used to do it back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. Yeah, I get it.
I don't think they're just flippantly doing something because it's funny without any consequences. I really think they're actually putting thought into this. In the Gulf of America, I don't think. I might be naive, but I think they're saying that because he's not Latino. It's like, no, so we're not going to say Gulf of Mexico because he's not Latino, so we're going to say the Gulf of America because again, Alpha Academy, we know who it is, but we're going to play along and act like we don't know who it is. So again, like I said, I don't think they're going. I don't think they're doing it.
commentary was not playing along with it at all.
Oh, yeah. It's like, but again, Michael Cole, you can't say but definitively it's not it's Chad Gable because 2 weeks ago we saw a dude leaving handcuffs. You gotta explain that. So it's like even though
Byron Saxton would have played dumb.
it's
Vic
like
Joseph probably would have played dumb. Booker
come
T, I
on.
think Booker T would have played dumb. Corey Graves absolutely would have played it up to the T's of that is not Chad Gable. That is El Grande Americano. But when you
And
have Pat McAfee's not going to do it.
well,
And
Pat's
then
kind of doing it.
it's up to Michael Cole to be the one to play dumb, and Michael Cole didn't do it either.
So Pat's doing it a little bit. He's like, you don't have the information, Michael. You don't have the information. You don't have the fact that it isn't Chad Gable, so you really can't say anything.
100% clear. Michael Cole is not saying anything that he's not being told to say. So anything that Michael Cole is saying or the way he's acting is being told. He's getting told how to do that. So that's coming directly from the back. So if they don't want him to act like that, then that's why he's not acting like that.
What I feel like the roles are reversed on what it should be. It should be Pat McAfee being like, "That's Chad Gable," and Michael Cole being like, "Oh, I don't think that's Chad Gable."
Yeah,
Like the roles are just completely reversed on it, and it.
but it's like, so as someone who didn't affect me one way or the other, I got to process that. I like the storyline. Just keep walking the tightrope. Please don't jump on one end or the other. It has to end with a luchador beating El Grande. That's how you stay on the rope. It gotta be a luchador defending El Grande and removing the mask. If that's the end, then it's gonna be a successful storyline. If that's the end.
It's best if it's done in the way that like Kurt Angle was behind the mask and not the way that Hulk Hogan was behind the mask.
Oh hell no. Yes.
But
no. Again,
I would take Hulk Hogan behind the mask over what happened with Owen behind the mask.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Love Chad Gable.
Moving on. Moving on.
Sorry, I got all depressing there.
What we need now to make this story perfect is to have both in the ring at the exact same time. I know there's no one that's exactly Chad Gable's body type, but you got to have Chad Gable and El Grande Americano in the ring at the same time now.
Like again, we have what it takes to make this story appear. I just need WWE's to use that. Please use it.
That reminds me. You guys watch TNA?
No,
I haven't in a while. No.
Oh, well, Ezekiel's, I guess, either brother or cousin showed up in TNA, Elijah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
What, you don't want to walk with Elijah?
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's not
Elias
anymore.
Not Ezekiel. Elias.
He's not Elias. He's not Ezekiel.
Right.
He's Elijah.
Elias. Oh, I don't remember him being Ezekiel. I only remember him being Elias. When you said Ezekiel, I was thinking of somebody else.
So, TNA, he can't use Elias anymore. So that's why you didn't know who he talking about.
No, I've seen him. I have seen. I know that he's in TNA now as Elijah. I just didn't. When you said Ezekiel, I thought of someone else because I've only heard him as Elias and Elijah now.
Well, for like 2 years, he had shaved his beard and went by Ezekiel and was the younger brother of Elias. And Kevin Owens wasn't having it and was like, "You're Elias. We all know you're Elias."
I totally forgot about that.
That was a dark time. Like, sir, do not do that no more to your face.
Interesting.
One person online was like, "No one show this to Kevin Owens, please."
Thanks.
All right, what was next? Get the train back on track here.
I mean, it's CM Punk announced a contract signing for SmackDown.
That's we're at the end of the freaking. That's crazy how this time flies by. Look, this is basically the same thing that Seth did. Don't know why on Raw you can only have one person out of this feud be on Raw at one person a week. But I will say that he actually handled this better than Seth. When he announced the contract signing on SmackDown, he's like, "Why y'all mad? Because I'm here. I'm mad too. But hey, don't worry about it. But don't worry about it. We're gonna get this party started tonight." And so at least he's like, "Listen, I know why y'all are mad too, and so I feel your pain." But I like, we know what he was talking about. We know what he was talking about because we saw SmackDown, but he was talking about so we gotta do the whole thing. Because of course he just has to dig of AEW to my I work with children. It's like, sir. It's been that time is flying by. It's been 3 years. Let it go.
CM Petty.
Let it go. But then of course he's like, I'm trying to make this a business decision. I'm trying to make this business, but these two are making it personal. Why? Because of course, Seth, I left you 14 years ago, and you can't do it on your own, Roman, because I'm not your own. You're the only one who loves the wise man. He's like, I'm just looking for this to be business and what I want out of WrestleMania. But maybe I'll still get it Who knows? And we'll talk about what happened on SmackDown. The contract, he was looking through it, and Roman and Steph was like, "What the frick are you doing, bro? Sign page 4, sign your name." And so Paul Heyman bends down. He's like, "What you're looking for is in there. You are going to main event WrestleMania Night 1. It is official." He kisses him, and CM Punk cries. Listen. I'll speak for Anika. I know we don't like Asheville, but that moment, I'm not sure how much he knew, or I'm not sure how much it was played up or not. But yeah, Paul Heyman telling CM Punk it's official. You're going to main event Night 1. Yes, that tugged at my heartstrings.
Can I just be for real? Like,
yes.
Punk's not the main event. Rollins is not the main event. Roman is the main event.
He is the main. Listen,
If Roman wasn't in the match, it would not be the main event. Rollins versus Punk doesn't get the main event of Mania.
I would not go that far because that was definitely the plan last year, but Punk got hurt. For Night 1, that was definitely the plan last year, but Punk got hurt. You can't tell me that wasn't the plan. Before Rocky came out and all this craziness happened. But yeah, that was, you can't. So like I said, going back to this, I did feel like, okay, yeah, I feel your feelings, Punk. Yeah, it's like finally, like it's crazy because him and Seth, right? Him and Seth, it's like you are the top guys. Like there's no matter when it happened or where. At one point in time, y'all were the top guys, and to be a top guy and never main event a WrestleMania, that has to be frustrating as hell. Like that has to be frustrating. It's one thing to be a mid carder and you know your status. It's like I'm going to work towards that, but to be a top guy and never get that spot, I can see how you'd be frustrated as hell. So, like I said, to this segment.
So, you think it was supposed to be Punk winning the Rumble last year?
Listen, before Rock came in, I think a whole lot of plans changed. Not just Cody not being the main event. A whole lot of plans changed last year. A whole lot of plans. Like a whole lot of how it got from point A to point B. Yeah, it was not a straight road. It wasn't just it was discriminating between Cody and Rock. No, it was a whole lot of misturned streets. Yes.
How do you feel about the Night 2 main event though of John Cena finishing the story?
I don't know how many times you want me to say it. I don't care. I don't care, bro.
Finish the story, Cena. Finish the story.
I'll say as many times as you want me to. If they put, so we already know Night 1 is going to be the triple threat between the dudes. If they put the women's triple threat on Night 1, it's over. I don't care. I don't care what's on Night 2. You cannot beat Night 1. That is my opinion. If both of those triple threats are on Night 1, it's over. It is over, bro.
The funniest thing is I saw a video online, and so Cena's dad has turned heel too, and he's doing such a better job of it than his son is. Cutting promos on people who are asking him questions about his son. Just
like, there's no pressure. There's no pressure. He's just having a good old time.
Like I saw comments of like, how hard did Randy kick him upside the head?
Oh, stop. All right. Now it's time for the main event.
This was probably the second best match of the night.
Oh, well, by far. Yeah. Braun Breaker versus Penta.
I would have liked it better without Judgment Day.
I would have preferred a clean finish. I understood the finish, though. But I know I'm the only one that's in that camp. Let's talk about the match.
Yeah, but I just don't like it.
So,
The
like,
match
where
was
is this going? Is this going Judgment Day versus Breaker and Penta at Mania?
it's gonna be a multi-man match. It's gonna be a multi-man match for the IC championship. It's a matter of how many people are gonna be in it. It's gonna be a fair 4-way, where it's Braun, Penta, Finn, and Dominic, or we're gonna add 2 more people in there. I would prefer.
Are you sure this isn't going to be a 6-man tag match?
It's not a tag match. It's not a tag match. Even though they took the Money in the Bank out of Mania, it feels like every Mania we're trying to do a multi-man match or a multi-man ladder match. This is that multi-man. This is that multi-man match. Not the battle royale, but a multi-man match that actually matters. Either it's a tag team ladder match or vice versa, or a tag team multiple tag team match. This is what it is for the Raw side.
Okay.
I would prefer that I would prefer if they added AJ Styles and what's his name? Logan Paul to this instead of them having a one-on-one match. But it's definitely Braun versus Finn versus Penta versus Dominic. They're definitely gonna be in this match for the IC title.
So I have a question.
Okay.
What happened to the Wyatt Six?
Brody got what's his name? What's his name? His brother.
Oh, Dallas?
Bo, he got hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, Bo got hurt.
Shoot, yeah, it's hard to do anything with him if he's the one who's hurt. Like, if anybody else was hurt, like,
fine. But I believe he got better though. I believe he's getting better, so we might see them back in action
they could have him in a non-physical capacity.
Yes and no. Again, but like you said, we were trying to make them non-mid with Bo in it. Without Bo, this is definitely a mid group. So
yeah. But like having his presence, having him being the mouthpiece, like that still works. He doesn't have to be physical if he's managing the others. Like I feel it still works.
Yeah, but again, you take it from mid card might be the main event to definitely mid card if he's just a mouthpiece and it's Dexter Loomis and Joe Gacy and Redbeard and Alexa Clark just competing against other people, and then who are they competing against? So it's like, we'll take a break. I wish we could
Bring
find
it
a
back
way.
after Mania.
Yeah. I wish we could find a way to keep it without Bo, but I don't see them being in the place they're in without Bo. So it's like, let's take a break. I don't miss that.
Because I didn't think it was bad what they were doing.
Me either, but it was just like, people thought it was mid card. Keep saying mid card, mid on the card.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's a 3-hour show. Like 90% of the show is.
But you still
middle
want
of the card.
But Bray Wyatt's legacy, you want a little bit more. You want a little bit more, not a lot more, but a little bit more. But back to Raw.
I thought
what else is there to say about Raw?
No, wise man.
Thought the main event was solid. I think both men are obviously solid wrestlers. Penta looks great in WWE. Braun looks really good. They seem to have good chemistry. I even though I don't like the DQ, at least they gave them a fair amount of time before it came to that, and storyline wise, it makes sense. So I guess I understand that. But the match itself was great. I thought it was a solid. What's a solid Raw?
Yeah, I did like how it ended. Whereas like where Finn came out of nowhere with a chair, and Jimmy Day beat down. But then so Finn gives Dominic the chair, he gives the Penta. It's been like bro, are you serious? He's like, fine. Do what you want to do. And he's like, do what you want to do. And I keep telling you, this is what to do. And of course, Peter showed him, yeah, no, I don't want to join you. And of course, it's like, yeah. And like, Peter's like, yeah, I told you I'm done behind. Now stop doing something out behind my back. And of course, so I like that little exchange of, I told you. All right, fine, do it. Go ahead and do what you want to do. Now, are you satisfied? You believe me now? All right, get back to business. It
I feel like my rating for Raw is going to be the highest this week because I like the John Cena stuff.
was fine. But okay, but you go first.
I'm going to give it a B.
The same grade I was giving it, a B.
These European crowds have definitely elevated the show. I don't know. I guess they announced next week there going to be another face off between Cody and Cena. They should go last. I'm like, let's like them going first kind of threw it kind of threw me off the last 2 weeks ago. Where it's like, why are they going first? Let them go last. It is Cena. I don't care. It is Cena. Let them go last. Again, the question is, what were the low points of this show?
Basically, the whole show besides the last two matches.
No, like I'm not gonna say that, but more so like what is like why y'all do that? It's like there's nothing really that.
I mean, bringing the Usos botching.
More so. Even though we're setting stuff up, the wrestlers setting it up, it was like, we could do better.
A-Town Down Under coming out to lose once again.
I don't care about that. That's an AEW thing. I don't care about
Cody.
I don't care about how many times they lose.
Cody
right.
coming out and I just tuning him out completely.
Okay.
Lyra versus Raquel was okay, I guess. I mean, I'm not a Raquel or Liv or Lyra fan, but it had Bailey. Which I like Bailey.
For me,
Adam Pearce being the best of the women's promo segment.
Okay, Sammy, hush. For me,
okay.
Because I feel like, every time you say that, it's like, oh, you want options? I know what happened. I just got to process it my doggone self. No, okay, for me, even though the build to some of these matches, we have 3 more weeks, and it feels like we're on week 2, and that's not good. It feels like we should be further along in how these build-ups should go in every capacity. Even though I love the women, it feels like we should have announced 3-way last week. Even though I want Jay to beat Gunther, this whole story of him losing his confidence is not streamlined. It's not streamlined. I wish, like I said, with Punk, Seth, and Roman, it feels like they already had a plan for that. They know what they want to do leading up to Mania. It feels like for every other match, they don't have a plan. Like for Cody and Cena, I don't know if they have a plan on how they want this match to be laid out. With the women, it's a little bit better, but it's like her versus Io. Like just have the match where if she beats Bianca, she's in the match. Them having a championship rematch this close to Mania, it's like, come on now. Come on, bro.
Yeah, we're still 2 weeks away from them doing that match.
Like we know how that match is going to end. So it's like, based on the build, and even though we had 2 decent matches, it wasn't enough. I give it a C.
2 B's and a C.
Yeah.
That is the end of our Raw review for this week. So we're going to switch gears.
If it wasn't for El Grande Americano, I probably would have given it a C too.
Which is, yeah. I think we're all in agreement there.
So NXT for the next night, Tuesday, March 25th. We are getting Miss Stephanie Vicaire defending both titles tonight, doing double duty. As you would assume, we got to do double duty. One is going to be the main event, or one is going to be the opener, one's going to be the main event, as it was here. I'm a little surprised that they did it kind of the way that they did this. I personally thought that the matches should have been swapped, but it is what it is. We had Jada Parker and Stephanie Vicaire opening the show for the women's side. But not only do I think these matches should have been swapped as far as the placement on this week's episode of NXT, I think the two women should have been swapped. I feel like Fallon Henley, even though she doesn't deserve a title shot, no one was going to beat Stephanie for the world title. So let's have Fallon Henley take the loss. Where Jada Parker, I think, has a viable, in my mind, opportunity to maybe get Stephanie a win over Stephanie in the right situation, and a much better chance if it's for the North American Championship than it is for the Women's World Championship, because I think the North American title is the perfect spot for Jada Parker at the moment. So in that regard, and then I think they should have been flopped on the show. But needless to say, Stephanie versus Jada Parker opened the show. Really good match. A lot of back and forth. They both had a lot of good offense. Jada Parker looked strong as they got towards the end of the match. Jordan Grace made her appearance to, basically mess up and distract the match. And that was enough for Stephanie to get the roll up and the win. Where obviously, I thought we were leading towards, which we'll get there eventually. I thought originally this was going to be Jordan and Stephanie, but clearly this is going to be Jordan and Jada first, which is fine. I'm here for that. I love Jada. I think that putting Jada in a program or storyline with someone like a Jordan Grace, who's going to be a superstar on the NXT roster, and is a great rub for Jada Parker. So I was here for all this. I really enjoyed all this. What do you guys think?
I love how they view Jada Parker. They're like, not yet, but we're gonna make you get there. So I feel like they do realize that she is a main eventer, or just not yet. We just need a couple more reps with some main eventers. So yeah, her versus Jordan, great. I love how they hype the matchup where they're like, everyone who's been a double champion, every time they defend their titles, no one has ever came out with both titles. And I'm like, that is kind of like they showed two belts Becky, they showed Seth, and it's like, oh, that's actually a nice little trope. They're like, but will Stephanie Becaire be the one to do it? It's like, I guess she will. Like you said, this was a great match. I am so amazed that Jada Parker is still. She's consistent. Where it's like you put her in the moment, she's not failing. I love that for her. Of course, boo Jordan Grace, but also, so we're keeping Jada strong. It wasn't an egregious interruption, right? It was just she popped up and she lost focus. So it wasn't like she hit her with a chair or something. It was just like, oh, you lost focus and you got rolled up. So I was like, oh, we're keeping Jada. We keep Jada strong. I like it. I do agree with you on the match placement. But I understand why they did it, right? Because post-match, you have Fatal Influence beat her up, and that influences the match, the main event. So I'm like, okay, I actually get that, right? I don't hate it. I don't see how you could flip it. I don't see how you can flip it, right? I turn the other way around if that was the plan, and I actually don't hate the plan, right? So I don't mind. I totally agree with you. I feel like I would have loved Jada and Stephanie be the main event, but I think we all can agree Stephanie losing the Women's North Championship is more threatening than her losing. She's not losing the world. She's not losing the world anywhere in the NXT Women's World Heavyweight Championship. She's not losing that anytime soon. But the North American title, I thought we all be like, oh, she can drop that at any time. So it's like, okay, I kind of see the title that we think that she can lose easily let like what do you call it? That little doubt, let that be the main event. I see it. So like I totally agree with you. I wish Jada would be the main event, but I see why they did what they did.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We have Trick Williams saying he doesn't want to hear from Javon Evans. There's a difference between potential and having a title. Javon says he's ready to prove him wrong. Anything you guys want to say about the little segment between Trick and Javon?
Excuse my French. Stop being a dick, Trick.
He definitely is.
You're
He
being a
definitely
douche
is.
for
Oh, I
no
meant to ask a
reason.
quick question. Not a question, but make a statement. Maybe it's a question. It wasn't lost on me that Jordan Grace was in all black, and that all black is definitely a heel thing to do. I'm just wondering if their goal isn't to have Jordan Grace be a heel on NXT. Stephanie and Julia are both faces. They need some sort of a foil, right? I mean, and if you're going to put Jordan Grace in that mix, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's what they're gonna do, but her actions coming into this match, interfering, although not directly interfering like with a chair, like you said, but enough to cause the distraction is slightly heelish. They're in all black, so I don't know.
I'm not completely familiar with Stephanie's character work outside of NXT. Like I know her for wrestling good matches.
Right.
With Julia though, she works best as a tweener.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
you can beat me bloody and blue and all this. I'm still just gonna keep coming at you. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like it can be honest and a clean match, or it can be underhanded and hit you with a chair upside the back of your head. One way or another, get the job done. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I get that. I think though that it feels to me at least. I mean, to be fair, it's only. I mean, it was all of 3 weeks before she got hurt, but the very short period of time that she's been on TV for NXT feels like they were booking her and pushing her as a baby face as opposed to it. So, well, and same with Stephanie to a certain extent. So I guess we'll see what ends up happening. But Metaphor wants to know why they're not getting a TNA tag team championship shot as Paxley and Gigi Dolan are going to get later tonight. They get in an argument with Dolan and Paxley. I don't care. None of that means anything. Anything you guys want to say to any of that?
we're talking about how the Metaphor girls are good, but there's no room for tag teams. So I don't mind them going over to TNA and get some action and more GG on the screen. Yes, please.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sit down with Ricky Saints, who thinks people are having trouble dealing with his self-confidence. For a while, he had to live in his car, and the only thing he had was his self-confidence to say something. I understand that everybody has a past and a history and all that stuff. I just don't need to hear it all the time. I really don't. And I'll talk about it later during AEW when we had the FTR segment, but I just don't need to hear it all the time.
The difference between confidence and arrogance is being able to back your words up.
Yeah.
And so we know so we're Ricky Saints fans, but for the people, there are some people who just watch NXT. So if you don't know who this is his story. So it's like we gotta take ourselves out. We gotta realize that even though we know who he is, some people who are just watching NXT don't know. So it's like, all right, let's do a rundown. This is Ricky. This is his story. This is how it's gonna be awesome.
I'm not naive. I understand getting into wrestling is extremely hard. And that the people that make it, a lot of them came from probably, meager existences prior to that, right? There's not a lot of, silver spoon in the mouth wrestlers, right? At the same time,
Dominic Mysterio.
I don't need to hear from every single one of them how they all lived in a car and how they all had to sleep on the street. I just don't need to hear the same exact thing from every single one of them. We know it's hard. We know what being a wrestler entails. Don't need to hear it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. We know it's a part of all of your guys' story. It just gets a little old. That's all. And it feels manipulative. It really does. And it is manipulative. They want you to feel compassion for Ricky Saints, which is fine. I get it. But it's emotionally manipulative. So Sean Spears interrupts, saying that Saint Spears, saying that Saints, no, hold on. Sean Spears interrupts. He says, saying that Saints' confidence is driving people crazy. Spears has friends, but Saint says that's how he won the North American title. Spears suggests that Saints can always go somewhere else if it doesn't work out. And then he brings up the fact, I guess maybe you burnt all the bridges. And as a last final little response to Sean Spears, Ricky Saints says, I guess I better win then. So, I mean, I thought that this worked out okay. I mean, I'm here for Sean versus Ricky. I think Ricky's probably going to get the win because, he putting a belt on him is a big deal at the moment, and he's a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it feels weird to take it from Tony D for Sean to just have it for a very short period of time. At the same time, it is what it is, and I'm ready for Ricky Saints to have the belt, I guess, because I like him better than Sean Spears. But the match should be good. I mean, I enjoyed this segment. What do you guys think?
I don't think he's winning the belt so soon. Of course, because in my mind, it is going to be 4 against 1. So intellectually, he shouldn't be winning it this soon unless he gets some friends. But as a first program for Ricky,
Sure.
I love this for Ricky. Him versus Sean, I love that. I think people were thinking about him versus either Paige as the first program. It's like no. Let's hold off on that a little bit. So I love him versus Sean, and this was a good. I love the back and forth with them too.
Anything you want to say, Sammy?
I was just thinking that Ricky's also a real tweener dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't mind if it's the right person, them being healed in a certain situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I like if it's between if it's between Ricky and Ethan, I'm babyface in the scenario. But if it's between Ricky and Javon, hey, it is what it is, and I gotta beat you behind. I like that. Where it's just like, listen, sometimes it is truly just business, and depending on who I face, if it determines if I'm a baby face or heel. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can take that.
I think him paired up with, say, Trick. Ricky and Trick, that is a real tweener team.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean them together? I was thinking about them against each other. Either way.
Oh, them against each other? I mean, I guess that Trick would be the baby face in that scenario.
That's the way he's been acting for a minute.
Right.
It's a real toss-up, but I feel like those two, they'd play real well together.
I think Ricky has that it factor enough that he's going to be cheered no matter what he is. Even when he's a heel, he's going to be cheered as opposed to booed. I just think he's got that. There's few wrestlers that I think kind of transcend either heel or face, and they just are over, and I have a feeling that's where we're going to end up with Rick. He has that charisma. That's how I feel about The Rock. I feel like The Rock, it doesn't matter whether he's a babyface or a heel, people just love him. I mean, it just is what it is. And you obviously can see some similarities between them already and just kind of their styles and stuff. He's already been compared to him. That's nothing new. I'm not saying he is Rock. I'm just saying I can see him having that same kind of overness. That's all.
Oh no, yeah.
It was that way with AJ Styles. His music would hit, the crowd would pop, and they'd be cheering him. But he'd be a heel, so when he gets on the mic and he starts saying some mean stuff, then they're like, boo, boo. They're always so happy to see him.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ethan Page is backstage. He's running his mouth. Actually, he's not running his mouth. Kale, whatever the hell his name is. One of them is saying, he says something to Ethan Page. I forget what he actually says. Ethan Page doesn't like it. Ethan Page turns around, starts talking shit to them. The two Andre Chase kind of tag alongs at the moment. And then Andre Chase gets in the face of Ethan Page. And I guess we're going to end up with an Ethan Page, Andre Chase match probably next week at some point. I mean, they didn't necessarily say that or whatever, but I'm assuming that that's what it's going to end up with. Ethan Page walked away. Andre Chase talked to the two guys, and then he said, I got to go handle this. And that was basically the end of it. Anything about Ethan Page, Andre Chase?
Sure. Like after that feud with him and Javon, it's like Chase. Okay.
Motor City Michelle, Hank and Tank are walking just backstage, being Hank and Tank, kind of whatever, and then they bump into the Motor City Machine Guns, who give them a honk honk too, as they're heading on their way to the ring for their match against. I still want to call him TNT, but it's Tyreek and Tyson.
Listen. Side note. Yeah. I know there was a debate of where Motor Machine Guns should be on the main event. I'm sorry, the main roster before NXT. I would have loved. I don't need them to do a whole run, but I do want to see some Eminem in NXT. I want to see some Motor Machine Gun matches in NXT. I do want to see that.
My question is, who do you want them to wrestle?
I mean,
which tag teams on the NXT roster right now really yeah, I really want to see them.
So in my brain, right, I'm trying to think. I don't think I have seen them versus the Hardys. It probably has happened, and I just missed it. But if you want to do that, yes, please. Obviously, them versus Nathan Ackman and Frazier. Yes, do that. Yes, please. And where are the Gallows? The British people from that's in green. Are they hurt?
Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. What's his name? I think it was Mark Coffey was on Evolution last week, and I was like, oh, Gallus has dropped all the way to Evolution. Now I don't know if that's all three of them. I don't know if somebody's in, but one of them was on Evolution this week, and I was like, or not Evolution, Evolve. I'm sorry, not Evolution, Evolve. I apologize. And I was like, whoa, that's quite a drop off. So I don't know. I'm not sure where they're at. That's kind of my question. Like, there's not really a whole lot for them to do. The two teams you mentioned, yeah. I mean, Fraxium, yes, I think that would be a lot of fun. The Hardy Boys, I mean, it will be fun, but what year is this? I mean, all these guys are over 50, right? Or at least near 50. Like, I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Like, talk about stealing the stage. Talk about veterans stealing the stage on a fucking developmental show. Like, really? Like, this is the show where this is the young person. And here you've got the Hardys versus the Motor City Machine Guns. If they haven't done it before, which I'm sure I know they have, but 20 years too late on WWE, it's like, come on. I mean, that's a little much for me. I'm not saying I don't necessarily want to see it. I'm just saying I don't know that this is the right environment to necessarily do that in. I don't know. But, you know, again, people will enjoy it, no doubt about it. And fans probably will like it. I mean, you know.
I don't even do a whole program. Just do a hit. Just hit it and quit it. Just do the match and just get out of here. I don't need a whole program. Just hit it and quit it.
Let's see. So Wesley's here with Tyson and Tyreek. We have this match. Tyson and Tariq, they get the win with the hard stopper and finish Hank a little over 6 minutes. You know, we talked several times. There were like 3 tag teams, and this was the one that they decided to go with. It feels like TNT, and pairing them with, or there were 3 kind of tag teams that were similar at the same time. And they've now paired them with Wesley, which is giving them a rub. I think they've decided that this is the one they want to push. I thought it was going to be OTM for a minute. It looked like that, right? And now it's back to these guys. So I'm not totally sure. Maybe they still want to do both of them ultimately. But these guys with Wesley are getting more exposure, and they look good. I mean, I think if the goal is to really give them some sort of push, they should be beating Hank and Tank. Hank and Tank are kind of like, I don't know, they feel like
Yeah.
24/7 champions. Like, I mean, I know they're a tag team, but that's kind of like that. I just like in that realm, that kind of comedic, just take losses, be there for a laugh type of thing, but not getting a legitimate push. And if you want to push these guys, then they should be getting a win over Hank Banks. So
They're fine. They're fine.
yeah.
I am glad the other team got the win. I'm glad Wesley's. I'm glad Wesley team got the win. I am very glad about that.
Mhm.
Stephanie insists that she's okay to face Fallon tonight, even though Ava's a little concerned. Axiom has a little argument. Axiom didn't invite Nathan Frazier to Spain, and Nathan Frazier's a little bitter. And then Oba walks in, and Axiom leaves. Axiom leaves. Anything you want to say about that before we talk about the Heritage Cup? Either of those little.
I kind of get it though. It's like, why did you not bring him to Spain? Like, come on. And side note, if you have not watched it, bump it. A Kid versus Gunther. Cause that was he had a mask on, but that wasn't Axiom versus Gunther. That was A Kid versus Gunther on SmackDown. That was beautiful. That was good. I wish I had the pitch of let's do that while we're on Europe. Like let's just have Gunther on Raw face anybody from Europe from NXT UK, but they didn't want to do that. But yeah, that SmackDown match that was good. Yeah. Good
Who
times.
doesn't want to watch Gunther beat up a kid?
Please make sure it's A Kid, not A Kid.
Not A Kid. All right, next we have Heritage Cup champion or cup holder, Lexus King, facing off against the young OG, Javon Evans, who's back, a couple weeks removed from his little feud with Ethan Page and his jaw being broken. So he's still slowly recovering, but he's back in the ring. This was a solid match. I thought these two had decent chemistry. Lexus King got the win thanks to Obafemi, who came down and basically took out Javon Evans, power bombed him onto the corner of the ring apron or the ring apron where they come to the little thing. Like I think he did it twice, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, these two had fun. As a result, Lexus King retains his title or the belt or the cup. I'm sorry, the Heritage Cup. And I don't know if this is supposed to further spur the feud between Oba and Javon right now, but Oba definitely owed Javon because Javon had attacked Oba, and so he had to come back and get that. And obviously, depending on how long Oba's going to stay on the main roster, these two have to have some sort of face-off at some point, if it's not immediately right now. But it could be. I mean, who knows when they're going to actually do it. Stand and Deliver is down the road here, just to WrestleMania weekend. It does look like it's going to be Oba and Trick. I suppose they could turn it into a three-way. We'll see if that's how it ultimately plays out. But I thought this was okay. And Lexus King still being Heritage Cup champion is fine with me. What do you guys think about this?
I actually love Lexus King being this heel cup. What's North American cup? What's cup called? UK cup.
Heritage Cup.
I actually love Lexus King being the heel Heritage Cup winner. I do love that. I think that is a very nice space for him. Javon, I love that they're we still think he's decent, so he's getting some good matches. Like you said, the match was good. I am not here for Javon entering being a three-way between Trick and Oba. Like I hope I'm not like you said, I had a plan of what they could do with them three versus Dark State, but I guess we're not doing that. But yeah, him just being in the middle of Trick versus Oba is making Oba versus Trick convoluted. So it's like do one-on-one matches before we get to Stand and Deliver and just be done with it. But yeah, him being making it a three-way, nah, I don't like that. Nah, don't do that.
I feel that.
So Oba power bombing Javon Evans onto the basically end of the match, and then Dark State showed up to kind of like stir the pot. They didn't actually get involved, but they're kind of in the crowd. They're everywhere. Kind of you're looking at them, and then Trick comes in to try to save Javon Evans, I guess, to a certain extent, and him and Oba have to be held back from each other.
Okay, so
hold on for 1 second. Hold on for 1 second.
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so maybe to make Trick stop being a dick, maybe this is how we turn Trick back heel before we get to Oba. How about that? Where it's like, okay, I have been in my head too much. I have been saying things I didn't mean, and so him and Javon are cool, and that's how we get a standard heel versus babyface match between Oba and Trick. If that's how we're using Javon, okay, do that. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, Javon Evans, his future is definitely very bright. I think, they're obviously pushing him pretty fast on NXT. At the same time, I don't know that he's necessarily ready to be in the world title picture yet. So,
Yeah.
but it's still getting the rub of being involved with Trick and Oba definitely is going to help him for sure. So we'll see how it ends up playing out. But next, we get a match that was set up earlier in the night. We get Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley versus Metaphor. Let's see. Whatchamacallit got the win. Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley get the win. Jakara Jackson takes the pin. It wasn't a very long match. I appreciate that NXT has clearly now become the WWE women's show because they dominate it, and that's great because the division is great. At the same time, they do have some people on the show that I don't necessarily care for, and I don't like Fatal Influence. I don't like Gigi Dolan. I don't care for Tatum Paxley. So I don't. That being said, I was disappointed that Metaphor basically. I'm not a fan of Metaphor. I do like Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. So a little disappointed that they took the loss and that it was so kind of quick and felt kind of like they were showing that maybe they don't belong on the same level as Fatal Influence, but I guess it is what it is. So what do you guys think about this?
I felt these are the women that aren't going to the main roster anytime soon.
Yeah.
I'll say, I just think it was a serviceable match. We already have Gigi and her partner going to go against the TNA Women's Tag Team Champions, so it's like let them get a win before they go over there. That's what so it's like. It's like all right, we're gonna get this win, and then we're gonna make them look more credible for TNA. And they're like, all right, fine.
I mean, I can definitely see that. Tony D wants some information on the Dark State. He wants to know who they are.
Who are
The family is going to go find out. And they want Stax is asked to stay behind. Tony talks about how he saved Stax as a kid, which Stax will never forget. Tony D says, I can always trust you, right? Stax says, you can always trust me, T, always, I'm sure. Again, not quite as egregious in my opinion, but do we really need to know that Tony D saved Stax as a kid? Like, I know it's kayfabe, but like, come on. Okay,
just
here we go.
just
Here we go.
like just in case you didn't know, and more so, we're doing a whole not dissension, but what's going on with the family. So it's like let's reiterate. We've been here since we was kids. So if Stax is leaving, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the only one that really does anything in the D'Angelo family for me in any way, shape, or form is Tony D. But I mean, I guess if you're ranking them, it's Tony D and then Stax and then either Luca or Rizzo. I don't know. Rizzo, I don't know. But Luca doesn't really do anything for me at all. And so if Stax goes away and all you have is Luca and Rizzo, I don't know. I mean, it's really interesting to see. I'm still surprised that Tony D is still in NXT. Again, we've talked a lot about what he looks like on the main roster, what that looks like. At the same time, I still thought he would be on the main roster by now. So, I don't know. I'm a little surprised at that, but it is what it is. I guess we'll end
Yeah,
up
no, I
seeing what
get
ends
it.
up happening with the D'Angelo family.
I get
Motor
it.
City Machine Guns and Hank and Tank are talking again. They say to keep at it. They're trying to encourage Hank and Tank, and he says, "Don't compare yourselves to us. We've been a tag team for a really long time." The Motor City Machine Guns are trying to make them feel good about themselves, which I guess is what it is.
Aw.
uh, we get Ethan Page versus Andre Chase. Ricky Saints is on commentary, talks about whatchamacallit. He talks about how Ethan Page doesn't like Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors being with Chase, blah blah blah. This match was fine. I liked Ricky on commentary. Ricky versus Ethan should, if that's what they're gonna do, should be fun. I mean, I'm definitely here for that. I don't know what ends up happening there. Ethan Page did get the win, as he should be beating Andre Chase. We'll see what ends up happening with Andre Chase. I don't want Chase U again, but they're still kind of doing that same thing with him having these kind of followers / disciples around him. So, and they definitely want him to be Professor Chase again to a certain extent. It feels like, and
It's
the
so
disciples want
weird.
him, whatever. It's like, okay, I don't. So who knows what ends up happening there? But what about this whole thing? What do you guys think about this?
It's so weird. It's like, okay, either do it or not. But this whole emu and Andre Chase with the hair over his face, and he has this disheveled white shirt. It's like this ain't it. This ain't it. But match wise, it was fine. Like I said, I don't think we should be doing. I don't think we should be doing Ricky versus Ethan Page soon. But I like that they're circling each other. So it's like, oh, it's coming, but just not right now. I do like that. But it's like, yeah, we gotta do something with Andre. Either you're English teacher or you're not. But this little middle part is dumb. But
Mm.
Sammy,
Hope
anything
I'm
you want
not
to say or
getting a cold.
no?
Mm.
Post match, Ricky Saints gets jumped by Sean Spears in the culling. And then we switch to a little Dark State promo where they talk about when they strike, no one is safe. It was a solid promo. Lots of life in the promo. They all were fired up. They all were, whatever they had. They have an infectious energy, all of them, and especially like we talked about last one, the little one, the littlest one of the bunch. He was he was definitely in his bag this week again. So I think so far. I mean, I think they're doing a good job with them so far.
yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I guess we're just waiting for the right time to what's the word? We're waiting on the right we're waiting on the right feud. It's like unless we as of right now in NXT, unless a band of good guys come together, it really isn't what you call it really isn't a team that looks like they're a right fit for Dark State. So it's like, all right, us versus everybody until we can find that team. Like you said, great, good promo.
Yeah, and I like that they're kind of involving. They're just creating havoc. I like it. I mean, they don't seem to have a singular focus other than to just kind of create havoc, which I like. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so far I'm here for it. Trick Williams calls Javon a distraction, just like Eddie Thorpe was. He wants Oba next week and says Dark State is none of his business. So, okay. And that brings us to our main event of this week's episode of NXT. It is Stephanie McCare, your Women's North American Champion, defending it against the previous former North American Champion, Fallon Henley. I guess technically she was the previous one as well, but in a solid match. I mean, Fallon Henley has developed a lot. If you're talking about
Yeah.
looking at the positive things about being in NXT and people developing, she's a perfect example of that. She's developed a lot in NXT over the last 6 months to a year and a half, however long you want to look at it. But for me personally, I think she's outgrown Fatal Influence and needs to probably move on. I think Fatal Influence, I think they're holding her back at this point. I don't necessarily know where I want her to be, but she's definitely evolved past them and probably deserves a little bit more. She did take the loss here to Stephanie. Stephanie did retain both belts, which is fine. I do think, unfortunately, it does, condense your women's division to in a lot of ways when you have both belts on one person because you only have one champion to target. But Stephanie holding both belts makes sense to a certain extent. I hope they're not. I don't know what Julia's actual injury is. I don't know how long she's going to be
Yeah.
gone. I don't know if you know, but if it's not too long and they're going to leave both belts on Stephanie until Julia comes back and run it back and then put the belt back on Julia, if that's the goal, I'm not necessarily sure that I'm here for that. I mean, I don't know. I'm here for Julia being NXT champion again. I just don't want them to just tread water until she comes back. And I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm just saying if that's the mindset in any way, shape, or form, that I'm not a big fan of. But I thought this
I
was a
would
solid main event.
assume you have Jordan Grace take one of the belts off of her.
Yeah, I assume probably the North American championship. I mean, that would
I
seem,
mean,
but
shoot, it's Jordan Grace. I'd let her take the main one.
Y'all know how I feel about that. I don't like people just coming in and being champion just because it's hard. It's hard to be on that much of a high coming in. It's like, where do you go from there? That's just me. Like, so I think I agree with all y'all. We got to figure out how long Julia's out, because
right.
that really determines all of this.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing to me though is that like it's Jordan Grace. Like she should not be in NXT longer than Owens was, and Kevin Owens was in there for a cup of coffee. Kevin Owens came in, he won the championship, he lost the championship, he went to
So,
the main roster.
but the thing about
Actually,
that is,
he was popping up on the main roster before he lost the championship.
but the thing about that is that was when they truly were a developmental. Whereas, like, yeah, we're doing a couple of shows on WWE Network, but let's like make a let's there. Triple H was on the horn came out is a third brand just yet. He did that when Ciampa was champion. Like, all right, now we're making a third brand. But like when KO was champ, it was just developmental. Come up here. So to that, that like we do actually have a 2 hour show on a national channel. That cable was national channel. So with that, I think that kind of turned. I think that's kind of what you call it, changed the way people come up. Where it's like, all right, we do a little bit longer because it's actually a TV show. I'm not saying that I want Jordan Grace to be there for a long time, but not everybody can go up. Not everybody can go up. Like Stephanie, Julia, and Jordan can all go up, right? Really, really fast. For
Well, I
Jordan,
think that Julia might be there for a while longer now because of the injury. Like she's got to get better, and then they're gonna want to get her some more reps in, get any rust off of her before. Like Stephanie could end up going to the main roster before Julia now.
Understand that you have your A show, which is Raw, and your B show, which is SmackDown, and those are your main rosters. Whether it actually works out that not often, SmackDown's a better show, but you still have a vested interest in NXT doing well. And right now, it is hitting on most cylinders, and in the women's division, it's hitting on all cylinders. The fact that NXT right now is being considered the best women's division in wrestling is a big deal. And you take all three of those, or move all three of those women at one time. I mean, you basically
I wouldn't
changed
do it at one
NXT.
time. Like that reminds me
You
of when the Four Horsewomen were all getting moved up. Well,
right,
aside from Bailey,
because
right.
they're like,
but like
hey, we need someone back. We need someone to stay back here. Y'all all can't go up at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just take everyone that's good from one show and move them to the next show and still expect that other show to be good, right? I mean, you still have some people. You have Roxanne Perez, and you've got others, that are there, but you can't just
I
Raw
think
NXT
Roxanne's
also
pretty
say.
well moved up already, though. I think they're just waiting until WrestleMania to be over.
And I guess we'll have to ultimately see. So it'll be interesting to see which of the top women in NXT are the first to move up to the main roster. I do think Jordan Grace shouldn't just necessarily come in and win a title, but if she does come in and win a title, I think it's a North American title. This idea that Gunther raised the Intercontinental Championship profile because of who he is, I think you get that same kind of raising of the Women's North American Championship with the profile of Stephanie McCare. So is the North American title in theory being, held by Kalani Jordan and then Fallon Henley, a little below Jordan Grace, sure, but it's not below her after Stephanie's held it, right? I mean, if the goal is to elevate it, Stephanie's held it. I mean, beating Stephanie for whatever title is a big deal for Jordan Grace. So, I want her to ultimately be NXT Women's Champion at some point, but I don't think she needs to do that right now. And if you want to put a belt on her right now, it should be the North American title, in my opinion. But well, we'll end up, I guess, seeing what ends up happening. Post match, we did have a little action as Fatal Influence started to beat up Stephanie. Jordan Grace came down to make the save. Then Jordan Grace and Stephanie kind of have a little tease, a little face-off kind of thing. And here's Jada Parker, who comes in to get her receipt on Jordan Grace for messing up her match earlier. And then we get the show. Basically, a whole bunch of women are trying to plead their case to Ava, who doesn't get to actually make an announcement for what's going to happen yet, who Stephanie's next opponents are going to be. But Stephanie and Jordan have another little stare down as the show goes off the air. I thought the ending was good. I mean, more Jordan Grace, Jada Parker getting a little come up, keeping herself in the main event. The thought of the main event, all that stuff, picture. This was a solid episode. I think it was a little below Raw for me, just because Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley versus Metaphor, I thought was a little down. I do like the show itself is exciting. Hank and Tank versus TNT is what it is, or Tyson and Tyree. I understand Wesley's involved, so they're trying to whatever. But right now, other than it feels like it's Nathan Frazier and Axiom, and I know Sammy doesn't like them, but for Axiom and kind of everybody else, Motor City Machine Gun's going to be there for a minute. Then I guess you put them up there, but there's not a whole lot going on in the NXT men's tag team division that spurs a lot for me. Even though I understand why Stephanie won, I was disappointed Jada took the loss. I'm going to give this show a B minus. I give Raw a B. I'm giving this a B minus. What about you guys?
I actually like this better than Raw. I like the with Raw, it feels like there's no continuity. It's like, yeah, we're going to WrestleMania, and it's like we're just gonna have a bunch of spots here. Like, I wish they would have had a point A, point B. I wish if we're going to start with Cody and Cena, let's end with Cody in the match or Cena in the match. You know what I'm saying? So with NXT, I actually love that. Like, okay, we actually had a plan. Is Stephanie defending her championships? Will she actually keep both? She did. Yay! First one ever. Ding ding ding. And then in the middle, we have a bunch of setups we have our other stories we're focused on that are pretty much so strong. So with that, I give it a B.
All right, Sammy, what do you give it NXT this week?
I think I'm going to give it a B plus.
So you have it over Raw.
A little bit, not by much.
So both of you guys get NXT over Raw. Here's my thing. My thought was that there was no wrestling on NXT that was better than either of the two solid matches on Raw. Neither was better than El Grande Americano versus Dragon Lee or Penta versus Braun Breaker. So that's why that's why I gave the nod to Raw a little bit this week. But I'm always more of a wrestling guy, so always probably going to err on the side where there's better wrestling.
Yeah,
the only issue though is I knocked a bit for the Judgment Day, like being so involved in the match.
Yeah.
So like there was one standout match, and it's my favorite of the week, honestly, and that is El Grande Americano.
Right.
Like, if it wasn't for that match being on there, Raw would have been a C for him.
Yeah. No. Match wise, I can't. It was I actually did love Stephanie versus Jada Parker. I think that was really, really good. Was it? I can't. I go sit here. It was good. It was good at Dragon Lee and El Grande Americano, but it was a great match. So yeah, but story wise, for me, I did enjoy this better. So yeah.
All right, so you guys both have NXT slightly over Raw. I had it the other way around. Now we're going to dive into our last and final show, AEW Dynamite, and Mr. Nico will take us through AEW Dynamite.
All right, here we go. We have AEW Dynamite. What did I say? From March 26th. Thank you very much. Last Wednesday. So crazy enough, AEW Dynasty is in a week. That's insane. It's actually coming up on April 6th. Like,
Yeah, it's a week from tomorrow, right? Yeah, it's a week from, and it's going to be on Sunday, I guess. They keep saying it's a week
yeah,
from Sunday, which I thought was odd. Don't get me wrong, I miss the Sunday pay-per-views. It's just I feel like I've gotten used to Saturdays now because it's been so long. So
right? Like we don't like we don't like improvisation. Like just do what you're gonna say do, and let's stick to one thing. But we start off with a match. We have, by God, Kenny Omega, your international champion. I hear the battle cry versus Blake Christian, the nickname Vanilla Baby. This was definitely a match for the indie fans because I've heard the name Blake Christian. I have not seen his work in Europe. Right, he's a European champion. Or he's a European
GCW.
wrestler.
he's
Huh?
a GCW wrestler, GCW.
PCW. Okay, PCW. I
He
don't
was
know.
Ring
I
of
don't
Honor.
know
He
him.
was Ring of Honor champion for a long time. He was Ring of Honor champion before Jericho for a while.
So yeah, so I made my point of I don't know this man. I have in Europe. He's actually a Ring of Honor. Side note, this is one of the things I hated when AEW first started. They're like, here's many people. If you don't know, it's on you. No, it's on you. You real life can't give me a small video package before the match starts. I'm not saying a 3-minute vignette. I'm saying like 30 seconds. If you don't know who this man is, that's why this is why he's great, and why this match is gonna hump. Like just give me the highlights of who this man is before this match gets started. That is just me. But the match
I
does
mean,
start. So
thinking about it, like he's really been like everywhere, hasn't he? Like, wasn't he also in NXT? Yeah. He was in NXT as well. Trey Baxter. So
nope. Couldn't tell you who that is.
I'm gonna assume he was in TNA as well, but I could be wrong about that. But
Yeah, I mean,
But like,
I think he's wrestled in TNA as well. I mean, he's been everywhere other than basically WWE, right? Well, I mean, he was in
well,
NXT, but
not the main
not
roster.
not right, and not as Blake Christian, which is what he's been now for a while.
and like I said, you go.
I would say he was GCW champion for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this is definitely is an indie match, and I'm not mad at that. But it's just like for the people in the back, who is this man? Match wise, this was fine. It's Kenny Omega. It's not gonna suck. It's not going to suck. Come on, call spade a spade. And of course, Omega wins because it is by God Kenny Omega. Your thoughts on the match?
It's Omega, and when he's healthy and going right, he's definitely in the conversation for the best wrestler on the planet at any given time. So I understand why he's beating Blake Christian. Unfortunately, Blake Christian, although you don't see him very often, he's only made a couple appearances on AEW TV, and like you don't know about him. He's an extremely talented wrestler, and they should Kenny Omega. And I understand that people complain about Kenny Omega matches already. He doesn't have to go 20, 25, 30 minutes every single time. That being said, the fact that they didn't make it to 5 minutes, I thought was a little bit of a travesty because Blake Christian is better than that. He still looked okay in those 5 minutes. It didn't look like he wasn't a squash. Blake could give more. There's more on that bone from Blake Christian. So that's all I wish because the match could have been a little bit more. But that being said, Kenny Omega gets the win as he should. It was solid, for what it was.
Like I go back to Vikingo when they had that first match, I didn't know nothing about him, but then he went balls to the walls, and it's like, oh snap! Who is this dude? I feel like if you're going to use an indie person who is famous in that scene but not on mainstream, you should give them that opportunity to have a Vikingo match. Not like of course, no one's Vikingo or you're gonna do crazy stunts, but at least give them a good solid match. Be like, hey, okay, maybe later I'll look him up. This wasn't that per se, in my opinion. But okay,
to be fair, Blake Christian. To be fair, I'm not trying to say Blake Christian is Vikingo. Vikingo is a one of a kind. I mean, he's Blake Christian is talented, but he's not Vikingo. So I mean, that's I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm not like that's the only person I can have in my brain, but it's like at least have the opportunity to be good enough in the ring where it's like, hey, later I want to know who this dude is,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
But after the match, we are on the road to AEW Dynasty. Here comes his opponent, the Speedball Mike Bailey, giving a very much so babyface opponent challenging speech. She's like, "Look, I respect you. I respect everything you've done, but I'm trying to beat you. I'm coming for that title." And then we pop out on the Jumbotron, Pretty Ricky, Ricochet in a suit. Looks like he's Elton John, but that's sorry. Looks like he's Paul McCartney in the 70s. But I digress. But crazy enough, Ricky was like, I'm actually here. I can't be there because I'm getting married, which is actually a real life thing. Like, oh, congratulations to you, Samantha. You're like, this is the best day of my life. Until Sunday when I beat Kenny Omega for a title. Classic heel Ricky. What are your thoughts on this segment?
You mentioned Speedball Mike Bailey, and he's pretty comparable to Blake Christian in like popularity, in-ring ability, like
okay.
Speedball Mike Bailey, great professional, great in the ring, but yeah, also no Vikingo.
Understandable. But any thoughts on the promos? Yeah.
The difference is Speedball's a baby face and we love him. Blake Christian is a shit face and we hate him.
See, and I didn't know
that. For me personally, there's a little bit closer. The levels are a little closer, I think, between Vikingo and Mike Bailey than they are between Blake Christian and Vikingo. But that being said,
I don't know. Thinking back to those GCW matches, Blake Christian's real good, and it's easy to hate him.
Yeah. No, he absolutely is. But Speedball's really good too, and a lot of fun, right? I mean, Speedball's one of my favorite wrestlers when we get to see him. So, and I think Speedball, as fun as this triple threat match is going to ultimately be, I kind of wish we were getting Omega versus Speedball alone, just because I'm curious to see what that looks like alone. Do we have two Anikas now?
Yeah. Turn that one off.
I liked the segment. I thought the segment was good. Speedball's not the greatest talker. That's not where you're really going to get his sweet spot. The sweet spot is in the ring doing what he does. As long as he's not talking a lot, it'll be great. And I'm here for it. So I thought it was interesting. I'm here for Kenny Omega versus Speedball versus Ricochet. And Ricochet's killing it at the moment. So I thought this worked out well.
Yeah, the match is going to be great. I have no doubts about that. One moment here. Do. I had to send my notes to me. All right, there we go. All right. Here. All right, Miracle Vortex segment where he's in front of the camera with what's his name? Brian Keith and Big Bill. He's like, look, you've been under the learning tree for a minute now. It's time to prove yourselves. It's time for you to be more than Chris Jericho. And so, and with that, we go to Bandito. So you steal your mask back, right? You got one up on me? How about we do mask versus title at a at Dynasty, which is crazy. It's like this is for the Ring of Honor Championship, but we're doing it at Dynasty. Okay, fine. Any thoughts on the segment?
I hope Bandito takes the belt from Jericho, and I kind of hope that at some point Big Bill and Brian Keith get tired of being beat up by Chris Jericho verbally. I understand if you're the teacher, Chris Jericho's disappointment to a certain extent, and Big Bill and Brian Keith, as they haven't been able to get the job done. And storyline wise, it makes sense. I just am tired of Chris Jericho. I never was a Chris Jericho fan, even when he was in his prime years ago. When AEW first started going and Chris Jericho was there and he was the world title, the world champion, I didn't dislike him quite as much as I had in the past. I'm not gonna say I came, all full circle and was totally, whatever, but I didn't, and now I'm back to just despising him. So I just wanted to go away. I wanted to quit dragging down Brian Keith, especially, but Big Bill both. I feel like he's dragging them both down at this point. And Bandito needs to take that title. So
Feels like Big Bill's a little too good for this.
It feels. Oh no, I feel like even though he's with Jericho, they're kind of breaking him. They're kind of breaking him apart slowly but surely. And in the following segment, proves my point. I actually love his. He's probably the only. I'm pretty sure the Jericho Vortex isn't over, but if it's over right now, he's probably gonna be the best in my brain. He's probably the best one to come out of the Jericho Vortex so far. Like, I actually love what he did with him and Will Hobbs. Actually, like, even though he's part of the learning tree, he's not sucked in, where it's like, we're not, he's not doing anything for himself.
Yeah.
Okay, and so now we have an MJF segment. He comes in local. We're in Minnesota, so of course he has to be a heel douche, talking about MJ's better than Prince. You can. Moving on. And so he's like, but I'm here to do business. I've been holding on to this card for the week, and I'm here to give my answer. MVP, will you please join me? MVP comes out and like, all right, cool, bet. And so he's like, look, I don't want to make any friends. The last time I made a friend, I got burned. We all know how that story ends, or how it should have ended. We digress. But he's like, but you're not here to make friends either. So how about we do business? So MVP is smiling. We going for a handshake. We hear the theme song for the Hurt Syndicate. Every word, people. Here comes Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin outside to join this little powwow. Bobby approaches MJF and he extends his hand. We all think, okay, he's actually down for this little exchange, but he's like, give me the card back. And so MJF gives him the card. Bobby tears it apart. MVP's like, oh, all right, let me get in between them. And so he's like, MJF's like, Montel, what's going on? What's happening here? You gave me I thought it was good. And so MVP trying to talk down Bobby Lashley, and so MVP's like, you know what? Until y'all get it straight, I'm gonna just bounce, and rightfully so. It's like, yeah, like, hey, let's be smart enough to know when you go get your behind whooped. So let's before that happens, let's exit stage right. So I appreciate MJF not being stupid. So before we go to the next segment, what do you think about this little segment right here?
I was not expecting that at all.
Right? It's so It's so weird. Like, I don't hate
what you weren't expecting.
Okay. More so Bobby Lashley coming out and disapproving of MVP's approval of MJF. It's like, okay, I think we either MJF says no or he says yes, but never MJF says yes and Bobby Lashley says no. So it's like, huh? Okay, interesting. That's one way we're going to go with it, sure. But AEW, your thoughts on the segment?
You know, I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, I didn't think. I was a little surprised that MJF was going to say yes. Doesn't necessarily surprise me that Bobby Lashley was kind of no. Just because, you know, Bobby doesn't really like anybody. I mean, to be fair, I mean, Bobby's got an attitude with everybody. I mean, he barely seems to tolerate MVP and Shelton Benjamin. He's a little bit better with Shelton, but he barely seems to tolerate MVP. I mean, I'm curious, and maybe there isn't, but it felt to me like there was somewhat of a hierarchy in the Hurt Business with MVP kind of at the top, even though he's not the wrestler. But Bobby doesn't really treat him like that per se, and I didn't think he definitely didn't give him that kind of like respect in this situation. So, and if Bobby says no, it's no, then who is calling the shots, right? And maybe no one.
Right.
So maybe they're just a conglomeration and they all have an opinion. I guess it is what it is. MVP not joining them, I'm fine with that. I don't necessarily need to see MVP with the Hurt Business. I think MVP's done good work. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant.
I was doing it too.
MJF has done good work with factions in the past, and at the same time, I like him better alone. His personality doesn't really lend to having friends long term, and no matter who he's bunched with, you always have that feeling like it's just a matter of time until he turns his back on them or something. The only exception to that could be if we bring the dynasty back together, which is Richard Holiday and Hammerstone and MJF. That could potentially be a little different just because they have so much history. At the same time, Richard Holiday and MJF are both two of the heeliest people ever, so I don't trust either of them even in the group together. So, but that being said, no, I enjoyed this. I mean, it was fine for what it was. If we're getting MJF versus Bobby Lashley, if that's what we get out of this, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to. I think that could be fun. Because just chemistry wise, I'd rather see MJF and Shelton Benjamin. But at the same time, both wrestling both of them would be fun at some point. So I don't know what ends up coming of this ultimately. And I don't know if they're trying to sow kind of any kind of seeds of dissension or whatever between the Hurt Business, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening.
No, I need me some H&H. Give me that Hammerstone and Holiday.
I guess for me, my mind never went to MVP versus Bobby Lashley. I'm not sure if I would like. Sorry, MJ. Dang it, MJF versus Bobby Lashley. But I guess I would for that. I would definitely have to see it to see if it works or not because I'm like. I don't think we've ever seen MJF versus the big man besides Wardlow. And with that was a squash. That wasn't really in the match. So it's like, how would this match go? That's why I wasn't like, okay. But it didn't suck. So I'm not off the train, but it's like, interesting. All right. So we'll fast forward. Like I said, MJF leaves and the learning tree.
Real quick.
No worries.
I guess my question is, why do that? There's gonna be. I mean, there doesn't have to be. They do a lot of shit for no reason. But what is the reason for even doing at this point? If there isn't a match between MJF and the Hurt Business, why do this at all? If he's not going to join, the only purpose is either to have MJF feud with them or to have them feud amongst each other over the decision about MJF. Otherwise, there's no. What are we doing? What's the goal?
That was my first thought when it happened. They're like, so what's the point? And they're like, well, for him to feud with Bobby. And it's like, okay. And again, it's like, that never entered my mind of him versus Bobby. And it's like, I would definitely have to see how that turns, how that plays out, right? People actually are putting MJF finding a tag team partner to go to go for the titles. It's like, sure. I guess all of MJF's promos for the past couple of weeks have been the World Heavyweight Championship. So it feels like this is a detour. It's like I'm not mad at the detour, but it's like
it doesn't have to, but it feels like it needs to make sense, and the detour just doesn't really make sense. I mean, the MJF detour or the Hurt Business detour, whoever's direction you're looking at it from, just doesn't really make sense. Especially if they're not going to do anything else. If this is like the end of it, and they just don't ever orbit each other, it's the most bizarre thing. Like, why do any of it at all? I mean, if nothing comes of it at all. So
I don't think it's the end of it, but it does seem like this is definitely a wait and see situation. Or it's like, sometimes we say it in hopes. This is definitely like, I don't know what's gonna happen. All right, y'all do y'all. We're in the car. We're not out the car just yet, so we'll see what y'all do with it. But like I said, so Hurt Syndicate are still in the ring. Here comes the Learning Tree, Big Bill and Brian Keith, and Lord have mercy. So Big Bill basically was trying to go jab for jab with MVP. MVP had his Wheaties today, and he wasn't having none of it. He's like, Big Bill made some pop references. He's like, "Are you a pimp or a manager?" He's like, "I'm both. I'll make your tag team partner." I'm like, "Dang, go!" Like, why? I'm like, what? Brian Keith was trying to go jab for jab. He's like, "Hey, Big Bill, keep your on the lid." I'm like, "Okay, listen. This sounds real personal. What did Brian Keith do to you, MVP? Like, why you keep calling him particularly a P? Like, no offense. I'm like, this sounds real personal." The gist of it is Big Bill took the mic because evidently MVP don't like Brian Keith. I don't put it out there. Because you didn't have to go that hard on the boy. But he's like, "Look, I've been a tag team champion." I thought you were talking about Enzo. I literally forgot that him and Ricky Saints were a tag team and actually were champions. I did. It wasn't that it was bad, but I did forget that. Like, I literally, he was like, and it's like but because my partner left and the tag team and one of the tag team champions retired, I never got my rematch. So I want that right now. And of course, MVP was like, "Listen, you're gonna have to win a match before you go against me." But it seems like before you get a chance to go against the Hurt Syndicate. So it seems like that's the direction we're going in right now, of the Learning Tree of Big Bill and Brian Keith versus Hurt Syndicate. I'm not mad at it if you're not just don't go so hard on Brian. Like, I realized I was like, "Dad, go to MVP. What is your?" Any thoughts on the segment?
I mean, I liked this. I mean, I thought that it was, for the most part, I thought it worked well. MVP came off very good. The only criticism that I have is that it's tough when you have someone that's as good a talker as MVP, kind of going toe to toe with someone that is only an okay talker.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with Big Bill, but he's not like what I would call an excellent talker. And unfortunately, against MVP, it did kind of show a little bit.
I'm like, "Dad."
A little bit more. The contrast stood out a little bit more. You can tell that MVP, the Big Bill, couldn't hold his own verbally, which is fine. MVP is one of the better talkers. The "Are you a what are you, a pimp or whatever it was" comment just fell flat. Like, it didn't hit at all. Nobody. Nobody. The crowd was like, "What?" And nobody, like, and obviously MVP's response was way better because the crowd was like, "Oh," you know what I mean? And everyone was, "Oh shit!" So, in that regard, it didn't look too great for Big Bill, but I still enjoyed this for what it was. I want to see the Hurt Business versus the Learning Tree. God, if the decision backstage, listen, I really, 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 really like Brian Keith, and I don't think he's a bad talker. If the decision backstage is, if the decision backstage is Big Bill's a better talker, I don't know. I mean, I guess I got to hear him again more, because in the past I didn't have an issue with Brian Keith, and I wonder, I'd be curious to see if the situations were reversed, if Brian Keith would have held his own any better than Big Bill did. But the segment itself was fine. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm here for the Hurt Business versus the Learning Tree, I guess. I mean, whatever you want to call them. So.
Sammy, any thoughts?
Not particularly.
I'll just end it with this. It's like sometimes some people give the people they're going against on the mic some time, some leeway, some kind of little grace. Maybe people just wasn't having it. Maybe I'm not sure what happened, but he was just like, nope. All right, I'm murdering y'all. Point blank. Period.
Yeah.
But we know how good Big Bill and Braxton are in the ring. So if it comes to a match, then this should be all right. All right. One more here. Go to my remote. Boop, boop, there you go. So next up, we have a backstage interview with Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. And so they're going to be tag teaming with each other to face Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford in the main event. Thunder Rosa was like, look, we both have, Megan Bayne and Penelope have been our issues, but make no mistake about it. I'm still going for this championship. He's like, so Tony was like, my God, it's so sexual. Just focus on don't focus on old things. Just focus on us now. And so Thunder Rosa was like, everything, a lot of things have changed around here, including you. But let me know something about it. I still want this championship. He's like, so Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm's like, don't worry about the old things. Let's worry about right now. And so right now we're going against. So it's me and you versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. And so the name was Thunderstorm. Thunder Rosa had the shirt Thunderstorm. She opens the jacket so Toni Storm can say our tag team is Thunderstorm, but what comes out of Toni Storm's mouth is Thunder Tits. And God bless Renee Paquette. She's been with Toni Storm since 2023 as Timeless Toni Storm. Sometimes she breaks, sometimes she doesn't. It's been a minute since she has. She couldn't hold it. Baby, we all understand because nobody thought she was out. No one knew that was coming out her mouth. It's like you had a very long streak of not breaking, Renee. It was time to break. Any thoughts on this segment?
I was at this point, I was like, there's been a lot of talking on this show so far. I mean, they had the Omega little 5-minute, but even that was mostly talking, and up to now it had all been talking. So I was like, okay. But when this segment was over and done with, by far the best segment of the whole show, and that includes a lot of good matches still to come and a lot of good stuff still to come. This was amazing. I mean, the chemistry between Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm is great. That Renee adds to it. Toni Storm is just amazing in this role. I mean, just the whole presentation from everything to the whole beginning to the end is just amazing, and the promo itself was insane. So I loved it. I thought it was great. Favorite segment of the show for me.
Sammy, any thoughts? I concur. Okay.
We may have lost Sammy. I don't know.
Where'd you go? Come back. Okay. So next up, we actually have a. Oh, cool.
Yeah. I just said we'll mute him in the meantime and see if he comes back.
Yeah. Okay, got you. All right, and so we now have a next match, and this match was way better than the first. No offense. Yeah, I said it. We have Cal Fletcher versus Brody King, and this was Cal Fletcher versus Brody King, where it was so freaking good. I love both men. Cal Fletcher, we had, that first promo when he turned heel, we all was questioning, was this a good decision? Now I think we all was like, yeah, all right, he's good. As a single competitor, he's good. Like I said, match went great. Brody King being a house fight person and Cal just trying to counteract it. It ended with a brain buster to the turnbuckle. Look, Brody is a big boy. So it's like, for him to even agree for you to do this to him, it's just like, okay, dude, y'all, I really want how big he was. I'm like, did that go off? I'm looking at it like, is that how it's supposed to happen? It is? Okay, cool. So with a brain buster to the turnbuckle and a little hope for Mark Davis. 1, 2, 3. Cal Fletcher for the win. Any thoughts?
Amazing. I mean, this is everything that you want in general in wrestling, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not going to say that it was a clinic, but these two killed it. I mean, I thought these two absolutely killed it. Kyle Fletcher, continues to show why his ceiling is, who knows how high, and that, his future is extremely bright, and that if AEW, continues to be around and holds on to him, that he's going to be one of their main event guys going forward for a long, long time. And AEW is in good hands with Kyle Fletcher as a singles wrestler. Happy to see Mark Davis back, all those things. Brody King, man, not that I had any doubt that he could wrestle, but when you really put him in a match with someone like a Kyle Fletcher, someone that's extremely talented, you get to see the best of him, and his best is amazingly good, right? So he needs more. And I'm here for him getting a bigger push. And him against Kyle Fletcher to me feels maybe like some of the start of that. He's had some matches these last couple of weeks against some bigger named opponents guys that have been pushed more. He hasn't got the wins, but he's looked really good. And we'll see what ends up happening with Brody King. I want a lot more for him. And Kyle Fletcher, I mean, what more could be said about him? He's amazing. So, and this is great. I mean, I don't have anything negative to say about this in any way.
Look, I'm tired of waiting. People are like, oh, like Arrow's like, oh, now he's away from Malachi. He's gonna get pushed. When he's been here, he's been in this company for 3 years, give or take 3 years. He's been in a bunch of singles matches without Malachi. Now Malachi is officially gone from the company. I want to see a push. I want to see a plan for Brody King. He should be at least TNT champion. Give me something, because I'm tired of waiting. I am.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think they're trying to do that with... Didn't he just wrestled Okada too, right? Didn't he just lose to Okada a couple weeks ago? So between losing to Okada there and Kyle Fletcher now, I mean, they're two of your bigger stars at the moment. I mean, Kyle Fletcher, is not obviously on Okada's level as far as, whatever, because Okada's been there doing it for so long. Not in AEW, but just in the world of wrestling. It is as already established veteran and a superstar. So, I understand. And at the same time, he's got 2 matches against 2 guys. Now they're both losses, but those are main event guys for all intents and purposes, or at least Kyle Fletcher will be very soon. And so, at least it shows that they're trying to do something with him. But he's got to start getting some wins too. So just losses against good guys is not enough to push you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's enough to make you look like the solid wrestler that we know you are, but a push means you got to get some wins at some point. So,
yeah.
And you're right. Listen, if you're going to only have him lose, then put him in the bracket where he can win. Like, if you don't think he's good enough at this point to be beating Okada or to be beating a Kyle Fletcher, then put him in the little bit slightly lower bracket for another title that is in his wheelhouse, where you feel like he could be the champion or dominate, right? So
I'm not saying he's a jobber, but it's like we are like, okay, one more loss. We need to come to Jesus moment if one more loss happens. Sammy, any thoughts?
No.
Okay, at least you're still there. Okay, so I did like how this worked. Where this is Don Callis family segment where they're like they basically try to beat up Brody King, but here comes power out. Like, all right, no, time is money. So the next Don Callis family, Mark Davis, you are up, and it's going to be Will Hobbs versus Mark Davis, and this was meat slapping meat all over the place. Like what? Like once ding ding ding. All right, clothesline. You're still not down. Clothesline. You're still not down. All right, let's just go for it. Tackle. It's like no. It's gonna make a bigger, better man win, and I was all here for that. And then of course it was a little stumble at the end, but basically with a spine buster. 1, 2, 3. Will Hobbs. Side note: I loved Don Callis on the even though I can't stand him, but he is very good on commentary. He's like, they're like, why did you replace Will Hobbs, Mark Davis? Because Mark Davis is bigger, he's faster, he's newer, and it's like 1, 2, 3. Man, if Will Hobbs took advantage of a very stressful Mark Davis, it's like really. That's what you want? That's your excuse. But talking about pushes, I love that they're actually letting Will Hobbs win. It's like after everyone was like, okay, after him versus Moxley, he's just gonna go back into oblivion. It's like no, he has to be on TV quite a lot. And this was a very good match for both dudes. And even though I know Mark Davis needs to win too, I need them to be consistent with Will Hobbs a little bit longer. So I was not mad at this. I was not mad at this at all. But your thoughts?
Quick, Wrestling Loose says, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate you. I still want more for Mark Davis. What I don't want is for Mark Davis to become the kind of the jobber guy of the bunch. I mean, I understand you're trying to push Powerhouse. I understand you're trying to make him look extremely, monstrous. 2.5 minutes is not enough. I mean, Mark Davis deserves more than that. He deserves more than to be a squash, especially with the good treatment you've given Kyle Fletcher. Like, I mean, they're basically, not one and the same by any stretch. They're total opposites, but they were tag team. They came together, and you've given one a huge platform, and now it feels like the other one's finally back from injury, and you don't really care about him. I mean, it felt like you did for him, but now maybe, I don't know. Like, I guess maybe you just care more about Powerhouse. I'm not totally sure, but I want to see these two run it back, and they need a longer time. I want to see an actual match between Mark Davis and Powerhouse Hobbs. Mark Davis is a little bit more, even though he's a big guy, I feel like he's a little bit more, he's got a little bit more of a move set and there's a little bit more to him than there is to Hobbs as far as in-ring work, and I want to see Mark Davis get a chance to show that against someone like a Powerhouse Hobbs. That being said, I like the way they're showing Hobbs. I like Hobbs, and I'm here for him getting pushed too. So
Yeah, I agree with that. Sammy?
I think that the Don Callis family might have the slowest theme music in professional wrestling.
That drowned out foolishness is just that foolishness. I'm like, ooh, sweet Jesus, y'all don't get something different. And thankfully, Takeshita has something.
I mean, if you're trying to find theme music that the crowd's not going to get up and cheer and sing along to, they did their job well.
Different.
Can you imagine a crowd of people all standing on their feet trying to imitate it?
No, I don't want that in my life. I do not want to see that in my life ever. All right, we have another backstage segment. We have an interview with Renee Paquette and Hangman Adam Page. We were talking about the Continental the Owen Cup coming up. But here comes Swerve, all pent up. Look, I'm covering for a busted ear, Joe. Did I just hear you say you're gonna interfere in my match? And I love this. I said, I keep saying it. I'm sorry, people. And so Heyman said, "Bitch, did I stutter?" It's like, you better not. You know, it's so like you better not. You know I'm capable of. You do it. And so here comes now. Like, oh, we time, boss. It's the time, boss. Another time. And so look. I don't think that they had to come back together and compete against each other just yet. But I love that we're just putting our finger on the pulse and say, yes, this feud is still good. Yeah, if there's a few that we can say in case break glass, it's definitely Hangman and Swerve. So like just to put your finger on the pulse, like, okay, this feud still works. I love this moment where it's like, hey man, don't kill. Like, did I stutter? It was fun. Any thoughts?
I'm fine. I just don't want to see Swerve and Hangman again yet.
He's
I mean,
like,
down the road at some point is fine. They're both fairly young. They're both going to be in AEW for all intents and purposes for a while. They can circle each other, but I just don't need to see it again so soon.
yeah, no, I agree with you, but I feel like with feuds that you want to go back to, you do have to check the pulse to see if it's still good. I say that because I go back to Rhea and Bianca. They did not check the pulse, and the pulse was not was basically was almost lifeless to that rivalry. So it's like, yep, you don't I don't need a match, but let's check the pulse on it. We're still good. All right. We're still good. These two people still are interested in these two together. Send me any thoughts.
Makes me think of a clip of a movie that I never watched.
Which was
Brokeback Mountain. Of I Just Can't Quit You.
Sure. Okay.
I've never seen that movie, but I saw that clip on YouTube.
Understandable. Okay.
Like, can we separate these two men for at least a year?
Like I said, I don't think match wise they don't have to go against each other, but just check the pulse of even if we're in the same room, sparks will fly. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
Sparks will fly between these two men.
Moving on. Like you said, this was very backstage promo interview heavy of a show. I'm not sure if I got it in the right order, but I don't care. We have another interview with Nick Wayne, and Nick Wayne and everyone in the patriarchy except Christian Cage. So they're interviewing Nick Wayne. He's like, "Look, I actually understand." Now I have some time to think about what Christian was trying to do at Revolution, cashing in his contract for a title match. But I have a plan going, and I'm going to prove to Christian this is how a plan comes together. And he leaves. Mother Wayne is all with it. She's like, that's my son. And Kip Sabian's like, I don't think he knows what the plan is, but he doesn't really know where to go. He's like, all right. I think Kip Sabian is like, I'm gonna let it play out. Let's see how this plays out for our group. Because like I said, Nick isn't like he wants to remove himself from Christian. It's just he wants to do something without Christian's approval. And so we'll see what he means. Any thoughts on the segment?
Don't want to in any way, shape, or form. And when I say this, people might automatically think this because I'm going to say it. Don't want to compare Chris Jericho to Christian Cage in any way, shape, or form. Christian Cage, in my opinion, is one of my favorite guys of all time. He's an amazing superstar. And what he's done with the patriarchy has worked in regards to them being together for the most part, and being a solid faction. I do worry that Nick Wayne, Luchasaurus to a certain extent, but less when he was here, Killswitch, Kip Sabian, because Christian is so charismatic and so dominant, does that diminish the others' development? And I understand Nick Wayne's right. Nick Wayne is very, 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 very young, and he's got a lot of time ahead of him. I'm not real worried about Nick Wayne. And to be fair, I don't really care for Kip Sabian, so it is what it is. It's not like I'm worried about him. I do wonder if you get that same, if it's reasonable to talk about a Jericho vortex, is it somewhat reasonable to talk about a Cage vortex? Now they're different people, and I get it. Like I don't, the comparisons or whatever, but just that same concept of would it be better for the people that are under Christian Cage at the moment to now break away and start to have some of their own independence and success on their own. And probably so. I mean, we'll see what happens with Killswitch when he comes back. I liked him much better as Luchasaurus with Jurassic Express, but I like Jurassic Express better. So, and like I said, we haven't got to see anything from Nick Wayne but this, and this has been a long time now. So, again, the patriarchy is phenomenal. They've done a great job. There's really no comparison as far as to the learning tree. I just wonder if you start getting some of the same overshadowing.
Canadian heels in their 50s.
Oh no, but yes.
They used to be a tag team in the early 2000s on Raw.
Complete
The
junk.
Un-Americans.
Yes. No. I actually liked Christian and Jericho. That was a good storyline. It was, and then you put Lita and Tristan. I actually like them together, but I don't need them together here.
No.
The thing is that Jericho used to be better in the ring and on the mic than Christian. And Christian now dominates Jericho in both of those regards.
On the mic is debatable because they never gave Christian the mic to prove it. In the ring, I'll give you in the ring. But on the mic, that's debatable because I feel like if they gave Christian more mic time, then he would have got. Like I remember, like you just
TNA did.
Yeah. But like, Jericho wasn't in TNA, right? Right.
No. We never got Jericho in TNA. But I was saying for Christian, when he went to TNA let him get his mic work in.
Yeah. But I remember but I remember them in a tag team, and I didn't shy away from Christian. I remember one segment out of the shower, like, what? I got jockey, just like so. I am very glad that Christian.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm very glad Christian got his shine. That's what I was gonna say.
Even with the success that they both ultimately had in WWE, it always felt like WWE saw Edge as a bigger star to Christian and just in general, or to other people to Christian in general, whether it was Edge or other people. So, I always saw it the other way myself. So I was very happy to see Christian essentially kind of get away for a little bit and be able to go to TNA and really show how good he can be. And now, what he did in AEW before Cope came, and even what he's continuing to do now. It's very interesting to me because I feel like Christian was really, really, really at the top of the totem pole, and then Cope came in and he's almost kind of dropped a little bit. It's almost like Tony Khan sees Cope a little bit above Christian. Maybe his WWE did it. I'm not totally sure why the bookers and the powers that be continue to see when they're together in the same space that Edge is better. I don't see that. But it does feel like they cooled Christian off a little bit and really warmed up Cope. So I don't know. I mean, it's odd.
This was all explained. Vince McMahon felt that Christian was very ugly.
Okay.
Which I find kind of weird because I think he's better looking than Edge is.
Definitely now. I mean, I think he's always been, but definitely now, Edge has not aged well at all.
Well, I think Edge looks better like when he has facial hair. But clean shaven, I think Christian's the better looking dude. Like when you go back and look at them in their Brood era, Edge is funny looking.
I wouldn't say funny looking, but I didn't see a difference. No offense.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, I don't. We can obviously, Sammy and I can talk objectively about the appearance of a man, but neither of us, we're both heterosexual. So in that regard, Anika would really be the one that would be making a comment from a female perspective as to who she thought was better looking, Edge or Christian. But for you see them as kind of similar, basically the same, right? Neither of them was necessarily better looking than the other.
Same level.
Same level. What else? Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say on that.
Yeah. Moving on.
Vince was very opinionated.
It's just, It's funny because the difference doesn't seem to be enough for me that the fact that Christian is both a better talker and a better wrestler should have outweighed the little bit of difference between their looks, right? The
Yeah.
gap for me between Christian as a talker and a wrestler and Edge as a talker and a wrestler is much bigger than the gap between Edge and Christian appearance wise. So you would think they would still go. Vince would be able to, but Vince has always been hyper concerned with aesthetics. Always was. I mean, that was his thing. You have to look the part. It's not enough. I don't care how well you talk, how well you wrestle, you have to look the way I want you to look, or I'm not going to push you. So,
Oh, I think it was Morrison who talked about it. Of like 1 week he wrestled, I think it was Sheamus, and like Vince loved it. And then the next week he wrestled, I think it was R-Truth, and like he realized, oh, Vince's problem is I'm not tan enough, but I looked tan when I was wrestling Sheamus.
that's funny. That's
I'm
yeah.
not.
Go.
I'm not going to touch that. Moving
Moving
on.
on.
All right, we're gonna have this is the in-ring segment with Jon Moxley and Swerve. Swerve comes out first. Whose house? Swerve's house. And of course, now it's official now, right? It's Jon Moxley versus Swerve coming out at AEW Dynasty. And Swerve calls out Moxley. He's like, if you have the balls to look me eye to eye and say less, because it's Jon Moxley. He comes out to the Death Rider theme music. It's eye to eye. And let me say this. I'm not sure how the negotiation, how it went down between Moxley and Adam Cope. Adam Copeland. I don't know if they like each other, if this was a what's called a decision from the higher ups, but it feels like Moxley is more into this feud with Swerve than Adam Copeland. I'll just say that it feels like Jon Moxley was reinvigorated. That's just me. But let's go.
I mean, I'd be more into it too.
Let's go into what they were saying in the ring. So Swerve was like, look at you. It's like you talk about people not being worthy of holding a title, but that's why it's in the briefcase, because you don't think you're worthy of holding a title. You can't look yourself in the doggone mirror of the title because you know you don't deserve it. It's like now you're just a shell of what. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. You're just a shell of who you think you used to be. By the way, how's your back, John? It's like look. Okay, because him with the spikes in the back hurt all of us. So let's. I know you're the dangerous man in the world, but like that was really a big moment. Like you really can't say Jon Moxley's a shell of who he used to be, and he just took a spike of a 2x4 spikes to his back. So it's like, no, he's still Jon Moxley. He's still a crazy SOB. But I digress. Let's go forward. And so Jon Moxley was like, look, I don't give out handouts. If you really want this, you're gonna have to take it from me. But I see greatness in you. I see greatness in you. I want you to be what you could be, but you have to go through me. You're not going to take it the easy way out. Do you have what it takes to go through me to become champion? And then of course Swerve was like, yeah, I'm the most dangerous man on the planet. You've been in death matches. I've won them. Sick burn. It's like, he listed a bunch of other stuff down, and he's like, so come AEW Dynasty, I'm gonna go in and come out. I'm going to come out AEW World Heavyweight Championship, and you can just play Jon Moxley on TV. Ooh, now I don't remember this, but they're like, oh, this is actually a playback when Dean Ambrose was going up against John Cena on SmackDown 2017, and he told John Cena, you can just go play John Cena on television. I don't remember that, but I'll go back and look at it. But again, all right, cool, bet. Now, in between all of this, Marina Shafir comes out with a lead pipe. It wasn't a pipe. It was a handed weapon in case of whatever. We had Prince Nana on the end, but Claudio just on the back, just waiting for the word to attack him. But of course, Swerve ain't stupid. Here comes Willow with a pipe to meet Marina Shafir on the wing apron. I like all of this, right? So promo ends. The Death Riders are leaving the ring. We're about to go through the crowd, but Maria Shafir is like, you know what? This chick has had too many one-ups on me. So she goes back. She drags Willow's feet off the ring apron. Just start giving body shots to her, but of course it's Willow. Ain't gonna be like we ain't gonna take that out of fight. So a fight ensures. Claudio picks up Marina and tries to exit. Nana tries to hold back Willow, but didn't freaking succeed because Willow kept freaking breaking apart and started revving stuff up. The Death Riders are now in the crowd, but Willow like, F that. And so Moxley's in front of her. Willow like, hey, you can get it too. I don't care. It was hilarious because it's like this is supposed to be a pull apart, right? Claudio get Marina, Nana gets Willow. It should have been Swerve because Nana couldn't hold that thing back. It was just like, hey, segment over. You're supposed to hold her back. Ain't supposed to. She can't keep breaking off in front of you. But so like I love this segment, and it was announced next week we're gonna get a mixed tag team of Moxley and Marina with Swerve versus Swerve and Willow. Yes, freaking please. I am here for all of it. But your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was solid. I mean, if the goal is to get the belt back on Swerve, this is a solid way to go about doing it. I think we've seen Marina Shafir maybe wrestle one time. Maybe not at all since she's been in this role. Other than just a little interaction she's had with several people. But her versus Willow, I'm definitely here for that. I want to see Willow. I want to see Willow beat her, but I want to see her and Willow. That'd be fun. I'm a little like I was saying last week. I thought last week's segment was really bad. This was better. Moxley was a little bit better this week. I thought it came off better this week. I don't know if it's just the difference between Adam Copeland and Swerve Strickland being in the mix that makes it a little bit better. I'm not sure. I know mentally I like Swerve Strickland better than Adam Copeland. I like so in that regard, I'm already more invested when it's Swerve. But I also thought the segment was better. I thought it came off better than a lot of the Cope segments did. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought it came off very well. Sammy? Anything?
I loved it.
Yeah. No, it feels like I'll say once more. I'm not sure what the direction was for Adam Copeland versus Moxley. It feels like Adam Copeland was like, you're just deranged. And it's like, no. Moxley was like, no. The Death Rider storyline is I want the up and coming people to take it from me. Now, granted, Swerve is not up and coming, but this is why I don't look up ages, because in my book, it's like NXT, AEW, there it is, right? So it's like he's not a rookie, but he's not a veteran just yet either. So in the context of not knowing his age, it works. That's John Moxley's Death Rider's mission statement. We just want the up and coming to do better. So in that since we've gotten back to that, now him being champion and going against someone makes more sense. It's like, so let's.
Do you wish I had never told you Orange Cassidy's age?
No, I forget. Again, it's like for me, I don't care about age. It really is. When did I see you in wrestling and where you are now? That really is just for me. But for other people, he ain't young. He's 40. But he just started. In my brain, I just saw him on national television. I just saw him on American national television a couple of years ago. So he's not a vet just yet. So that works. But all right. Yep. Next up, we have another backstage segment. We have Red FTR and Adam Copeland on a sit-down interview. Dax is acting like he was gonna lose endorsements, so he has to apologize. He's like, look, last week, my bad. I was in my feelings. You dragged us into this feud, and because we thought you was gonna win the titles, and you didn't. I got a little emotional about that. My bad. And so I was like, sir, you got in here because you got attacked. And I was trying to help you, and I was trying to avenge your behind. Like, remember that when the Death Rider attacked you from backstage? That's why you're then here. And it's like, and then back it up a little bit. You haven't really been by Adam. Well, he didn't say this, but in our brains, you haven't been by his side this whole time. The last month against John Moxley, it's been Adam Copeland and Jay White. Now you two, y'all just got back and just joined the fray. But Dex was like, you know what? Look. I'm apologizing. I'm apologizing. It's my bad. I'm sorry. You hear me? I'm sorry. But let's focus on the future. FTR needs to get back them tag team titles. So we should call out her syndicate. It's like, and Outcome was like, look, hold up. Rated FTR still got some life in it. I thought we could still ride this train. I was thinking we can go against the trio titles. Let's go against the D Riders. Let's go against Claudio, Pac, and Yuta. And so Cash is like, you know what? She's trying to moderate. You know what? I believe what Adam Copeland said. I think we still have some more gas in the tank. So yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it right for right now. Let's do what Adam says. All right. So Claudio, Pat, Yuta are coming for you and trios titles. Dax was like, all right, cool. Top guys, F. Top guys out. Edge was sorry. Adam Copeland was like, no, rated FTR out. It's like, sir. I think I heard Dax say that once. Rated FTR out. I think maybe, and I'm giving you grace. It may have been never, but I'm thinking he said it once when y'all was a team and you just got back from surgery. But this was hilarious. This was awkward. The awkwardness that it needed to be, because this apology did not seem that sincere, but you try to gloss over what you did. Okay, fine, whatever. It was very awkward. I love the awkwardness. We're definitely splitting them up. It's a matter of when. But yeah, this was I enjoyed this. But your thoughts?
I would like to say a couple things. So FTR out, they've said that a lot. Like a lot. Secondly, a lot, especially in AEW. Rated FTR, like I wouldn't put it over CM FTR, and I'm not a CM Punk fan, and it's definitely no FTR KO. Now that was money. I love.
Yeah, I mean, I hated I hated this. I thought this was terrible. This is everything I don't like about wrestling. And I like the soap opera part of it, but this is everything I don't like about wrestling. I understand John Moxley's not going to be directly involved, but we still technically have Adam Copeland circling the Death Riders. I was really hoping we were going to get some sort of separation there. I really don't. I really hate it when we hear about. I mean, Cash was almost crying about how Adam Copeland saved his life and helped him when no one. I don't care. I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. I'm sorry. I don't care. We know it's hard being a wrestler. We understand you all share a 5x5, backstage area, and you're on top of each other, and you all know each other. I get it. You've all slept 100 in a fucking motel room together. I understand. I don't need to hear it again. And I don't need to see these three guys sitting down doing this. This to me was dumb. It took too much time. I don't need it. Just say, we want a trios match, and that's fine for me. I'm good with that. The match is going to be good. The men can all wrestle, with the exception of maybe Edge is kind of the odd man out of the bunch, but he's okay. He's solid, so it is what it is. The match will be fine, but this was really stupid. I just don't need this. I'm so tired of this thing.
I can't disagree with you. All right, I know. We're perfect time. But I'll say this side note. Everyone's thinking that this is going to lead up to Adam Copeland and Christian getting them together to face FTR, and it's like, really? Like in my brain, I'm like, how do we turn Christian? Because Christian is a heel now, and it's like it's not a tweener. He's a full on heel, and I don't want it any other way. It's like, but y'all think this is where we're going towards it?
I mean, if I'm Tony Khan, for me, you've gotten a lot out of Christian. You've gotten a fair amount out of Cope so far. For me, the money is still them together. It just is at some point, and I'm sure Tony Khan, being the nostalgic wrestling fan that he is, and just a wrestling fan in general, in his mind, he wants to see that at some point. I can't imagine he doesn't. So the question is, how do we get there from here? I suppose, even though he's a heel, Adam Copeland is his brother, and if FTR attacks him, maybe in some weird, bizarre world, it makes sense that Christian Cage and the patriarchy try to help Copeland. I don't know. Maybe he tries to convince him to join the patriarchy. I don't know. I mean, Cope is not. I don't see Copeland becoming a heel, but I don't necessarily know how you get Christian off of the heel at this point. I could see you bringing them together potentially as heel and face one last time to face FTR. And can they kind of coexist? And yes, they do because they're great friends and they can get over it. Whether it's still both, one's a face and one's a heel. But I'm not totally sure how we get there from here.
I think you have to lose the patriarchy.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way. Like, Christian has to be abandoned on his own, betrayed, and then for Cope to be there to pick him back up.
Like, as long as Christian is a heel, I don't want him as a baby face. I want him a slimy heel until he retires. That is just me. If like I said, if you don't want to do the code that can coexist, and Adam Copeland keeps apologizing for Christian, he's like, you don't have to do that. I don't care. It's like that would be a very, very fun story if that's how you want to play it.
Yeah.
All right, and so we have the ops going backstage. These used to be my best segments of Collision. I'm glad they're bringing them back. And so it is Hook and Samoa Joe talking about what.
I just wanted to say that to your point on Edge and Christian doing that, just like Christian saying like the meanest, most hurtful thing he can to someone, and Edge just being like, "I apologize for my brother."
It's just like, you don't have to. And like while Christian walk away, you don't have to. He still sucks. If you want to do that would be hilarious. If you want to do that, okay. Like I said, the ops are backstage. Samoa Joe wants to talk to Cook about, sir, after you won against Max Caster, you kept the red rung in a little bit too long. He's like, because it's fun. It's fun choking them out. He's like, okay, fine. And so they keep walking. We have Max Caster still trying to convince people he's the best wrestler alive. And so he's like, so it was me. It was clapping. It was cool. And so Shibata's the one holding the camera, so he's facing Matt Caster. He's like, "Oh, hey, Shibata!" And here comes Samoa Joe choking Matt Caster out. He's on the floor. He's lifeless, and Joe's like, "Yeah, that is kind of fun." He's like dapping. I'm like, "Yeah, come on, that's what I'm saying." And then Hook says, "Ops to the death." They walk away. If they go for the Death Riders, they are right now. They're the only trios I want to take the titles off of Claudio, Yuta, and Pac. Yes, if we give them trio titles to Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata, I'm here for that. I'm here for all that. I know your thoughts, ALW, but Sammy, any thoughts before he says what he said?
Let him go. Go off.
I mean, I like this. I love the ops. I mean, Hook is definitely developing now. He's starting, I thought for a while it looked like he plateaued, but he's definitely seeming to develop now. And being with Samoa Joe, how could you probably not? I don't know. I'm honestly 100%. I say this in 100% honestly. I'm really truly lost on what's going on with Max Caster. I just don't understand it. the need to feel like you're deliberately burying someone makes no sense to me, especially when it was someone you felt like you were somewhat high on before. It just, if you don't like him, then don't do anything with it. Let him go, put him in catering, don't put him on TV. But to put him on TV week after week and just make him look worse and worse and worse it just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. Now, maybe there's some sort of long-term plan where he recovers and whatever the case may be, and he has whatever. We'll see what plays. Right now, I'm literally lost. I have no idea. Beyond that, obviously the ops are great. Top Flight and AR Fox, I'm here for that. Always, a match between the ops and Top Flight and AR Fox would be amazing. So yeah, I mean, I just don't understand what's going on with Max Caster. It makes no sense to me.
I don't know they had a plan with the Acclaim breaking up, period. Because even though Max Caster is getting beat, at least he's on television. Where is old boy? Yeah. Where is Anthony Bowen? Like, you don't see any, and that's what Matt Caster was bragging about to Top Flight. Like, see me, I'm on TV every day, and Anthony Bowen, he ain't nowhere to be seen. It's like, yeah, that is kind of this. I ain't gonna say weird, disturbing. It's like, why haven't we seen Anthony Bowen? Why isn't there anything for Anthony Bowen? So I'm not sure what the plan was when they broke up, honestly.
And what did Top Flight? I mean, what did they? Not Top Flight. I'm sorry. What did they do to get the dad to fall from grace? I mean, I don't. I mean, yeah. I mean, what did they do? I mean, they decided to, I assume, split them up for whatever reason. But now Max Caster gets beaten, choked out every week, and looks worse and worse, and Bowens does nothing. So it seems to me they've done something to to make themselves unappealing to Tony Khan for some reason. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe he feels like they were always playing above their head, and maybe they got pushed too much in the beginning, and maybe they didn't live up to it. I don't know. We can debate whether we thought they should have been tag team champions when they were, or trios champions when they were, all those kinds of things. But he still did that with them, and now it's like fuck them both. I mean, it's like, okay, the thing is weird. If I'm either one of them, I personally, I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to say. Like, I think internally I'd rather be Bowens. At the same time, I guess you're on TV, but being on TV getting choked out every single week, I mean, I'd rather be in Bowens, I think, to a certain extent, where at least I'm not getting humiliated on TV every single week. I mean, at least there's some mystery around what he's doing. There's no mystery around how Tony Khan feels about Max Caster at the moment, it seems, or what he's got going on, which is getting choked out every single week and looking worse and worse every single week. So they're not even letting him rap anymore. I mean, he's not even getting to do his shtick anymore. Now he's just walking around trying to recruit people and getting beat up. I mean, so the whole thing is very weird to me. I don't know.
All right, so this actually led to a trios match. We had Anthony Bowens and some local boys as his partners facing Top Flight with AR Fox. I'm not sure who put in the. It was probably Ospreay who put in the call, but we got more AR Fox on my TV. Yes, freaking please! And like, I love that they this isn't the first time they actually were a tag team before. Basically, they wanted to punch AR Fox for his travel issues. Rightfully so, but again, I feel like that precedent is too long. I digress. We're here now. And like I said, great trios match, of course. AR Fox and Top Flight got the win. We had Leo Rush and Action Andretti in the audience still trolling them. If y'all still want to make that a thing, sure. I feel like we moved past them being in a feud. No offense. I think we all need to just move past that, honestly. But like I said, Top Flight gets the win with AR Fox. Any thoughts on this match?
Cat should get the win. I mean, these are locals. It was basically an extended squash. It does feel like they're trying to re-warm up the tag team division a little bit, and at the same time, these are the mid-card, or these are the teams they've treated somewhat as mid-card teams in the past, and so it's kind of weird. It's like, I guess, well, maybe none of the big teams are still here anymore. I mean, the Bucks are off doing whatever they're doing. Penta's obviously in WWE, so Lucha Bros aren't there. FTR is doing what they're doing, and then there's, other tag teams, but, it feels like they're trying to warm it back up with these guys, and not necessarily opposed to that. Leo Rush is my favorite of the bunch here, so, Big Bill and Brian Keys were watching in the background too. That's what I mean by trying to. It feels like they're trying to warm up this whole division. So Leo Rush is my favorite wrestler of the bunch here. So that being said, I don't know that Leo Rush and Action Andretti is necessarily my favorite tag team, or the choices of who I would want to have the title if you're looking at any of these guys to be tag team champions. But this was fine for what it was. I mean, Top Flight looked good, and in a squash match. So glad to see both Dante and Darius back and healthy at the same time. Let's put it that way. How's that?
I'd like seeing Brody and Buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love seeing Brody and Buddy. Yeah.
No, we can say this till the cows come home. AEW has the talent. We just gotta put the focus on where it needs to be. Like you said,
and moving some people back. Like you've got plenty of trios or factions where you can put you guys together and have a very solid tag team. They just haven't been doing that for a while, right? So
like maybe Tony needs to put more power in the Bucks' hands again, because like tag teams, like it's not how it used to be. Like tag team wrestling was the number one thing about AEW in the beginning.
No, I've been saying that since the whole thing of him taking control back from the EVPs, but evidently that is like until he does it, we're just falling on deaf ears basically. Like until he does it, it's come on. Until you learn your lesson, fine, be in control, but yeah, put more thought back into the tag teams and trios. Where's those tag teams? Because yeah. All right. Then we get a match between Takeshita and Mark Briscoe. And baby, I have missed Mark Briscoe on my TV. He did some stuff with Collision, but him on Dynamite, come on. It's rewrite his tagline. Should have been on Dynamite. This was so freaking good. This is one of the matches where it's like, hey, you want to fight? I want to fight. Let's go. And they did it. Those last minutes of the match with his balls to the freaking wall, Jay Driller kick out, a freaking what is the name of Takeshita's finishing move? Like basically a tornado. Raging fire. Basically, he just twirls them around, and then it's a body slam. And so this was great. And again, for you, I'm with you. Where it's like I don't need context. This was like, hey, you two just go ahead and get at it. Yeah, let's do that. And then it's what it was, and it was so freaking great. Any thoughts?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, it shows why Takeshita is so good. Mark Briscoe's great. I mean, I think that there's been some debate about, what Mark Briscoe could do outside of being a tag team with his brother. And I think to a certain extent, he silenced a lot of those maybe skeptics because he's shown that he can do it on his own. And I thought he held his own here against a guy that Tony Khan definitely sees as, I think, a main event guy in the near future, if not already. I mean, he's got 2 wins against Kenny Omega already. So for Briscoe to come and have this kind of showing against a guy like Takeshita, is a great rub for him. It reminds you how good Mark Briscoe can be. And that he can do it without being, without his brother and being a singles wrestler. So I liked it. Takeshita should probably get the win. As far as singles wrestlers go, there are some levels to this. And even though Briscoe's been wrestling longer, Takeshita is probably a better singles wrestler. If we're talking about levels. So Takeshita should probably get the win here. Plus, Takeshita is one of your, whether it's main event, he's one of those guys that you like to have on Dynamite a lot. He's one of your focus guys as part of the Callis family, which is one of your bigger factions as far as presentation goes and getting time on TV. So no, I thought this worked really well. I mean, the 2 of these guys killed it, and both these guys can really wrestle. So I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was great. Sammy, anything you want to say? I'm tired.
Were we talking about Mark Briscoe?
Yeah, to get to the.
Takeshita's the future, man. Like Takeshita might be the AEW World Champion in the future. Like he's highly talented, very skilled, And like it's crazy that like he was such a baby face, and we were like, "Don't go back to Japan, Takeshita. Stay here. Don't leave us, Takeshita." And then he goes heel, and it's like, "What have you done, Takeshita? What have you done?"
Yep.
Takeshita's great.
Yeah, he definitely is. And like after losing the international championship, we were all like, all right, what we gonna do with him? All right, he's still on TV, he's still winning. Okay, all right. Whew, all right, we're still good. We're still good. All right, then we get our last backstage segment. We have Renee Paquette interviewing Jay White. Jay White is also going to be in the Owens Cup. This Owens Cup is going to be tasty as hell. You got Osprey, you got Hangman, you got Jay White. Honestly, that's enough, and everyone else can be like a mid card, upper card tier. But yeah, I'm here for all of it. And so he's like, basically last year the Owens Cup didn't work out for me so well. This year it's going to be a totally different story. And hey, before it all starts, I'm a Collision OG. I'll go back on Saturday and see what's up, and and mix it up a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you were OG. Side note, are we not getting the Bang Bang group back together? I know. Juice Robinson is hurt, but we have done it with just him and the Ass Boys. And yeah, no. So Juice Robinson is definitely the icing on top, the glue. But you can't do it until he gets back. So it's like Jay White doesn't need them, but just the presentation was so good. It's like we're really just gonna let it go away. Okay, cool, fine. But yeah, so yeah, Jay White's on Collision. He's gonna be in Owens Cup. Any thoughts on any of this?
For me, Bullet Club Gold or Bang Bang Gang, whatever you want to call it, was in some respects, and it's not built the same way, but it was for me, it's kind of the antithesis of the learning tree, where it didn't feel like Jay White, as great as he was, overshadowed anybody. It felt like they all got kind of the same recognition. I mean, the rub that the Guns got from being with Jay White and Juice Robinson was insane. I mean,
It
it
just fit.
basically made them who they are to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And so, and Juice, held his own. It felt very balanced. So, I hope that they come back together. I like them together. I like Jay White with the group. But I like Jay White in general, so I thought this was a great promo. I'm happy to see Jay White do his thing, and yeah, more Jay White is always good. So
Sammy, you good?
As ALW said, more Jay White is always good.
Yes. Okay. Like, you have the voice on it. Like, you have the freaking voice on it. Okay. Now it's time for the main event. We have our women's tag team match. We have Megan Bayne versus Penelope Ford. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Thunder Tits. And the crowd are my people. They're chanting Thunder Tits. Someone actually freaking had a sign where after, like, they had that made it in the past 30 minutes. Like, oh, okay, I got this. They had to have come in with a blank sheet of cardboard and a marker and be like, when I know my sign, I'll do it. And he's like, bingo. So it's like, then Thunder hit her Thunder. I'm like, this is not a thing, but this is a thing fine. Great match, of course, because haha is Thunder Rosa, Tony Storm, and even Penelope Ford, Megan Bayne, right? I love it where the start out of it was Tony Storm and Megan Bayne were touching on Megan Bayne's choice, of course. Great tag team action with Thunder Rosa and Tony. It's been a minute since they teamed together. I actually barely remember them actually doing it, but like they actually had very nice. They were actually doing well working together. And of course, Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne are crazy. I love the spot. Like so the Megan Bayne comes in as the glamazon as she is and just going roughshod. The high tag from Tony was great. Crazy. The optics of Tony just hitting Megan Bayne with all of her top moves and Megan Bain is standing tall and just brushing them all off. And she hits a, I'm not sure what it's called. I'm still calling it F5. I'll learn the name of her move, of what she call it later. And 1, 2, 3, Megan Bain stands tall. How will Tony Storm conquer the Glamazon? We'll find out August 6th. But I love that story of, oh shoot, this chick is a big deal. How am I gonna beat her when Dynasty comes around? So, but again, great main event. Any thoughts?
Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa work well together. Tony Storm is, like I said, in her bag at the moment. And she's right. Megan Bain is a big bitch. And it will be very interesting to see when they go up against each other. I don't. It's going to be interesting because if they present Megan Bain as too unbeatable, then when Tony Storm beats her, it's got to be in a way that is either she gets help or something. If you don't want, unless you want to, try to backtrack some of what you've done with Megan Bain, and unless you're ready to put the belt on her, you also can't. She's got to lose. So it'll be interesting to see over the next period of time here how powerful they make Megan Bain look and how unbeatable, how much of an obstacle she's going to have to be for Tony Storm to beat. And then ultimately, assuming Tony Storm gets a win, because I don't think Megan Bain's ready to be women's champion, how they do that in the ring and what that actually looks like. But I'm here for the feud. Megan Bain looks good. I'm here for the feud. Her and Penelope didn't really work all that great as a tag team. Indirectly, Penelope got kicked by Megan Bain, which looked kind of nasty. Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa obviously have passed as tag team and have great chemistry, so I thought it was good. It worked well. I thought the show was solid.
Some comparisons to Megan Bain and Tony Storm, and I actually like all of them. One was Cena versus Umaga, where Cena didn't really beat Umaga; he just survived Umaga. Another one was Brock Lesnar versus The Rock in 2002. I don't like that because you gave the belt to Brock Lesnar, and it's like, no, let's not do that. Megan Bain is good, but she should not be beating Tony Storm. And the one that comes to my mind is, but it's like it's two hot people instead of one big, one small, but still Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe, where basically he just survived Samoa Joe. He doesn't really beat, like, it's not a definitive move 1, 2, 3. Like, I just survived you and it's done. So it's like there's a couple of ways they can take this, and I'm very excited for the match. Any thoughts?
I did hear Jimmy Hayter should be back on Collision, which I'm interested for. So I don't know if she was hurt again or what, but they said she's making her return on Collision again. So
visa issues. She's been in London. She couldn't get her visa work. She had to get her visa work straightened out. But yeah, it's like she should be up next. I'm not sure they're gonna wait until Wembley. You should. It's in Texas, so no. But it's like, yeah, I'm like, again, she's one of them chicks who are like, all right, she's been back for, it's coming, like, speaking of Wembley, summer's going to be here like that. It'll be a year since she came back. And so it's like, yeah, I'm tired of waiting. Let's push Jamie now. It's time to push her back into the main event picture. Any thoughts, Sammy?
Sorry, I zoned out there. What were we talking about?
The main event, the women's tag team picture.
The main event, Ford versus Thunder Tits.
Entertaining. I don't know. Was this the best choice for the main event? I question, but it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, nonetheless. It wasn't.
It's the main event because it's got your women's world champion in it, right? And so I think that's why it's in the main event spot. I mean, but there were definitely matches that were better matches that could have been a better main event match. I mean, but
it's that weird position of like, yes, it's the champion, but it's the champion in a tag match, and they're not the tag champion.
Right. And also, if it's not the best presentation of the champion per se or whatever, then it still works better in the middle of the card. I think So, but again, it is what it is. I mean,
It's
we're hard on AEW about their women's placement. So, at least in this situation, the women got the main event. Let's put it that way, right? So,
and it's a good
Yeah,
placement of the feud. It's a good
yeah,
this is your women's Raw Heavyweight Championship, and we are displaying that Megan Bain is this beast of a chick, and it's like, okay, we really don't know how it's gonna turn out at Dynasty. So it's like as a build up to their match, they did a good job. All
agreed.
right, that is the end of AEW Dynamite from March 26th. Give me your grades, please.
It gets so hard to grade these sometimes because, like, again, the wrestling on Kyle Fletcher and Brody King,
Yeah,
as much as I enjoyed uh, El Grande Gable versus Dragon Lee and the other match on Raw, the main event match on Raw, Penta versus Braun Breaker, I still think Brody Lee and Kyle Fletcher was better than both of those. So as far as wrestling goes, I'm still going to give the nod to AEW. I still feel like AEW was a really talk-heavy show this week. We had 3 matches, I think maybe, and so that to me is always a
4.
little bit of a downfall. Um, and I really didn't like the Christian FTR segment. I thought that was stupid. Um, feel like it's almost a tie for me between Raw and AEW. I don't know. I need another second to think about it. It might be a tie. Man. It might be B's for me this week. I'm going to say that at the moment. I'm going to put them both at B's. I know I need to pick a winner, but I just don't know at the moment.
I'll give mine. I actually gave this a B plus. I love Moxley versus Swerve. Moxley versus Swerve
Okay.
was so freaking good, and it actually, like I said, I see renewed Moxley getting back to what he wanted to do for his title reign, which is also great. Yeah. Uh, Mark Davis versus Will Hobbs, check. Fletcher versus Brody, check. And even though the debate of if it should be the main event or not, the women's tag team was actually good too. So it's like
Yeah.
3 good matches, a very good segment. Even though it was talk heavy, none of the segment, none of the talk. Well, for me, none of the talk segments sucked. Where it's like, why the frick are we doing this? So I'll give this a B plus.
So for me, I thought this was the best show of the week, but it wasn't good enough to get an A minus. It is the same as NXT. It gets a B plus, but it's just a higher B plus.
Slightly higher B plus.
Instead of a 90, it's a 92.
So it doesn't at this point because you two picked AEW as your best show of the week or your highest grade show. It doesn't really matter what grade I give it. So I'll just leave it as a B and tied with Raw this week because the 2 out of 3 already got AEW Dynamite. So technically, Dynamite does get the win again this week, as it seems to be our regular winner. As often as CM Punk is CM's Clown of the Week, it seems AEW retains its title as the best show of the week here on Winner's Circle. So,
The wrestling's so good and the roster is stacked. Like it's kind
it
of
is, and
unfair.
Yeah,
the reality is that even though it has its rare weeks where it really has an outstanding week, and it does hold its own regularly, the reality is that you're talking about the A show for 2 companies versus a developmental show in NXT. So NXT really has no business even holding its own weight in theory, and it does, and it's won a couple times. So really, more often than not, it's really between Raw and Dynamite. And often the better wrestling for me is always on Dynamite. And, unless there's something great on Raw that week, usually Dynamite's going to be the better show, in my opinion. But
it just depends on the
yeah,
week.
it just depends on the week. All right. So AEW Dynamite gets the win again this week. We'll do a little house cleaning and then we'll get out of here. Let's see. Join us on Tuesday nights for the cookout every Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, where we come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. I think I'm not sure what we'll be doing this Tuesday. It'll probably be another episode of Lucha Underground, but tune in and you'll be surprised when you see whatever we're doing. but every Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. Friday night fights, 5:30 p.m. or 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Sammy Joe and Anika watch SmackDown in real time, giving you their real-time reactions and opinions to the show. Saturday mornings, you join us for the Winner's Circle, which is what we're doing now. Every Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, where we review Monday Night Raw, NXT, and AEW Dynamite. Grade each show, and show with the highest grade gets the win for that week. Saturday night is All Right, our Collision Watch Long. It definitely has been off for a little while, and it may be going away, but I'll put it up here just in case if we have it, which we won't have it tonight. But if we do have it, it is on Saturday nights at 5 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Wow, I'm getting my times mixed up. Watching Collision in real time, giving you real time reactions and opinions. Same deal with Enter the Square Circle. Myself and Sammy Joe just need to get on the same page and give you something to watch. But when we do have something, it is on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. The best way to make sure that you know when something's coming up is to get to that YouTube channel and hit that bell so you can be notified when we put up new content. You can scan the QR code, and that QR code will take you to Linktree, and from Linktree you can get to all of our social media where you can interact with us on any of these platforms. Love to hear from you guys everywhere we are. Love to interact with you guys. The best part of Workforce Wrestling Network is you guys. So make sure to scan that QR code, and Linktree you can get to everything from one location. If you want to listen to the Cookout podcast, you can listen to it where you don't have to sit and actually watch us. You can listen to it on these podcast platforms. So if you're don't have the time to sit and watch, you can check out the audio version. So that is on, like I said, these podcast platforms. So unless anyone else has anything else to say, we'll cut out the lights and get up out of here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Until next time. Peace.
Bye.